this morning, troubles on my mind. Bills piling up, feels like I'm falling behind. Worked hard all week, but the money's all gone. Can't catch a break, feeling like I don't belong. Well, I can't wait to get home and listen to the History Homos podcast. That's right, the History Homos podcast. Hey, homos, don't worry, man. Struggling to make it, but I'm gonna get home and listen to the History Homos podcast. Got mouths to feed and a roof that leaks. I'm a blue-collar man. I drive a truck, but I won't give in, won't let life bring me down. Gonna keep on listening till I turn it all around. But I can't wait to get home and listen to the History Homos podcast. That's right, the History Homos podcast. Hey, homos, don't worry, man. Struggling to make it, but I'm gonna get home and listen to the History Homos podcast. Through the pages of history, a conspiracy, they'll tell me all about Cecil Rhodes and guys like him. I don't understand half the stuff they talk about. I'm low IQ, you see. Can't comprehend, but Scott will explain it to me. Hell yeah. But I can't wait to get home and listen to the History Homos podcast. That's right, the History Homos podcast. Hey, homos, don't worry, man. Struggling to make it, but I'm gonna get home and listen to the History Homos podcast.
Three, two, one, and we're live.
Live. Hello.
William, you said you're bursting at the seams.
Romanized Visigoth. Well, I've just Romanized. I'm overflowing with sympathy and empathy because Romanized Visigoth isn't very well, and
yes.
So it's clear that the cause of his illness is. It also explains the rush of migrants into Europe, which is because they want us all to convert to Islam. You know, they want us all to convert to Islam so that it can use our foreskins in goy slop, and that's what Romanized had a bag of pork scratchings the other day, and it was actually Ethiopian foreskins.
No, that's the worst.
Oh no.
I was speculating that, or we were kind of group speculating that the Rothschilds have decided. They tried to stop us from having this episode by sending a sick Jew to come lick your doorknob at the exact right date, so that your illness would overlap with the recording date.
Yeah,
That's right.
but it's it's the importation of foreskins.
Yeah, that's the real unseen hand that's going on
into the food chain.
It's like the law. What is seen and what is not seen. It's
that's how they
the
control
sick
the
Jew
weather.
is seen, but the foreskin importation is what's not seen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The foreskin importation will continue until morale improves.
Yes, that's true. All right, so we got a lot of ground to cover. William will probably have to go to work at some point because we have so much ground to cover, and that's okay. We're all happy to be here. But so Romanized Visigoth has made his return to the podcast under the premise of the episode being we're going to have a broader discussion about the book You Gentiles, which me and William have both read separately and for this episode. And we're going to use that framework with which to examine Jewish media and Jewish media representation that is indicative of the same kind of discourse that is found within the book. Because as it is oft observed in media that is, essentially Jewish in nature, such as Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, to name a few. We're going to identify another one, a big one today. But you'll find traces of sort of the resentment of being an alien ethnicity within broader Goy Gentile culture, as it were. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but You Gentiles is the book, is by Maurice Samuels.
Yeah. Did we do an episode on it before? Or
We
did I
did
just
not.
read it? I just read it apropos of.
We both read it around the same time, actually.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the show and like bonus episode. We never did.
That would have been
dedicated
about
episode.
5 years ago.
A long time, but I want to say 3, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's that video you shared. It is pronounced Morris.
Yeah. Although William probably would have known that because they say more. In England, Maurice is Morris, as I understand about it. Yeah.
Some people call him Maurice. Right.
But yeah, so the reason why is because he was raised in Manchester, England, at first, in a Jewish ghetto of sorts, where surprise, surprise, his dad sold some sort of textile.
But like this is very loaded. No, his dad was a cobbler.
Oh, okay, shoes. You're right. Oh, yeah. They were obsessed with shoes. Yeah.
Maybe women are all Jewish. Anyway,
wow. Yeah. This is some deep Andrew Tate red pill content we're getting into here.
I think like 8 years ago, who was that guy that did the Trump is a German idealist philosopher video?
I know what you're talking about, that fat guy. Yeah, I forget what his name is though, but yes.
He did a tweet that was like, the woman is the Jew of the genders or something.
Yeah. Well,
true.
But it's all this to say, so we all listened to or watched this presentation about Maurice Samuel on YouTube, and from I don't know some other Jew, and
it was J for J stuff.
Yeah, and this is where the saying Manchester ghetto comes from in your mind. There's no Manchester ghetto. There never was. It was just like the cheap place, the cheap part of town where the Jews lived until they got enough money to own the town.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I was willing to accept that freely for the record. But so we're talking about Maurice Samuels, who's to us probably best known for this book. But it's really funny in that presentation I sent you guys. The guy who was making the presentation really wanted to distance himself from this book specifically,
and two others. Two others after this book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just mentioned in passing just to dismiss it. That was all, wasn't it?
Obviously, it's not true. We disagree with this fully, and I love sports, by the way.
Yeah.
I wish I could be there and be like, "Do you play sports? Did you ever play sports?" Because
no, he likes the Jewish-owned corporate version of sports that we have
and the sports
today.
betting. It's like Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, exactly. Dave Portnoy loves sports. Yeah, that's true.
Did you see Dave Portnoy running?
I have seen Dave Portnoy running. Yes, it's pretty good, honestly.
I couldn't believe it.
It's very unathletic. But anyway,
George Costanza runs better than Dave Portnoy.
I run very badly. I can't talk.
Yeah, I don't want to be videotaped running, to be fair.
No.
But anyway, so Romanized Visigoth, I almost slipped and said your real name because that's who you are. I do this all the time with William, by the way, as well, say his real name. But so you pointed out to me that one of my favorite comedy films actually is a good representation of the sort of attitude expressed in You Gentiles, which is What About Bob, the quintessential New Hampshire vacation film.
Right.
Yeah. We could say like, what about You Gentiles?
That's what I was going to title the episode, actually.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good.
So what put this idea in your head? I'm guessing you were just watching it and you were like, damn, and having recently read this book and going, damn, dude, this hits different after one read through of You Gentiles.
Well, everything hits different after one read through of You Gentiles.
Fair point.
Yeah, I was like looking for something to watch or whatever, and I was like, oh, Groundhog Day, like these Bill Murray comedies.
Yeah.
And then I saw the thumbnail, like the cover art for You Gentiles, and it's like Bill Murray kind of crowding Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss, yeah.
And then in their shadows, Richard Dreyfuss is like strangling to death.
him. Yeah, in a really stylized cartoon, and it'll be on the thumbnail of our episode, so you guys can take a look at that.
Oh, I've never seen that cover art.
Yeah, it's actually, like Antelope Hill, they re-released You Gentiles and a few years ago, and they had this cover art where it's like a sort of a German-looking boy.
I have that. I should have brought it I have that copy of it, actually. I should have brought it to show, but yeah.
Yeah, it's two boys staring at each other.
One's obviously white and one's obviously Jewish.
Yeah, it's in profile, and I almost feel like the What About Bob, if you just removed all of the movie stuff and just had that concept of like a man, like kind of like a gregarious Gentile, like trying to shake the hand of like a sort of reticent Jew, but then in their shadows behind them, the Jew is like slipping a knife or like trying to steal or like trying to kill him,
Spy versus spy background, basically.
Yeah, like that's the art that I would use.
Yeah.
But for my second reading of it, by the way, the one thing that really does hit different after one read through of You Gentiles is another read through of You Gentiles.
True.
A few years later.
Yeah, no, in the last 3 weeks I've read this 4 times. It's a slim volume, so it was kind of easy to pour through, honestly, on the train kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did three audios and 1 text.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to do it. But yeah, so also again, you can see this in Curb Your Enthusiasm constantly, where the whole thing about in the book about how Maurice Samuel rejects, or he's saying Jews at large reject Gentile punctilios. I like that word because I think it's really fitting for like I'm really guilty of this. I have like extreme punctilios about like courtesy on transit and like having to niceties and stuff, and I actually ascribe it to being a New Englander a lot of the ways. There's a lot of Puritan in us, but he's saying, and I absolutely totally cotton to this, is that Jews just outright reject these things, and particularly in media representation, Curb Your Enthusiasm is like the 101 example of it, because the whole show is him critiquing different like cultural norms, such as, oh, why can't I call you late at night, or do we really have to be saying Happy New Year 2 weeks after the New Year's? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, just why do you have to? Again, it's like a culture of critique. It's always like nitpicking about shit.
Right.
Yeah. The first time I read through the book, I got to the end of it, and it was like a surprise to me that all this sort of belly aching was really just because he was sort of mad that they were restricting immigration into the United States. But on the second reading, I got like. And I just thought that was funny. But on the second reading, what he's actually saying is, no, the United States is duty bound to accept unlimited immigration from Jews in particular, because they have nowhere else to go because everybody else hates them. And he doesn't say that people are wrong to hate them either. He just says we've got nowhere else to go, so you've got to have us. And it's not our job to contribute to the arts and do all this other stuff that you like. It's our job to subvert your society,
to accommodate us further.
No, he literally says we're there. We're the Bolsheviks. We're the this. We're the that. We're the where we do.
We're the reformers.
Is reforming your society. So you've got to let us in because that's how your society is predicated, and then we're going to change it. And if you complain about that, it's because your morality is gay.
Yeah.
He actually said we're the destroyers. That's a chapter title.
Yeah. That's the most famous, probably, arguably, chapter of the book as well. But I was going to say, it does really highlight the sort of as William just said, like your entire society is predicated on this idea, but it underlines the fact that it's a nonsensical proposition that is America, and clearly it's a misunderstanding at best of what the intent of the American experiment was to project onto it. It's like, no. You're a fucking bastard, man, for changing the rules as to. So, okay, let me put this in exactly the way I'm trying to say it. the way that the Constitution is framed as it relates to citizenship, and also the Naturalization Act immediately after, during the John Adams administration, by the way, based John Adams, was that basically the immigration question was like, it was never ever supposed to be anybody except Christian white people from Europe, essentially. Yeah. And it only due to economic realities of the 19th and 20th century is really where that left the station, essentially. And now, because of the vague wording that wasn't vague to the people who wrote it, in that it utilized vague language that's utilized in the Constitution, they go, well, now you're going against your own principles, goy. You know what I mean? It's just an intentional misunderstanding in order to facilitate the whole "we are the destroyers and reformers" thing. It's very dishonest.
I don't think he makes a big to do about that in the book, though. Like, yeah. I know in the end, I guess that's the last, like, a last word or whatever chapter. Because the way I see it, okay, so there's, what is there, 12? How many? I'm looking at the contents. They're not numbered, but it starts with the question. And then that's where he lays out his thesis, right? And then he has 5 supporting chapters for his thesis that Jews and Gentiles are different in a sort of existentialist way. Mm-hmm.
He's very selective about what makes up Gentiles, though, as well. Like, for instance, one of his big things is that we're not really devout in our religious beliefs.
Only a Jew could ever say that, by the way.
Yeah, but and it talks about the absolute submission to God that Jews do. So, but like, well, the Jews are the guys who Jews are the guys who kneel down in the street and pray to Mecca 5 times a day, aren't they? Oh no, that's the kind of Gentiles that haven't got anything he wants at that moment, so he's not attacking them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, well, he doesn't mention them at all, actually.
No.
It's interesting that he didn't, actually. But yeah, I was going to say also, it's aren't you guys the guys who build like big wires around neighborhoods so you can break all the rules you supposedly hold up as unbreakable? Fuck off.
I have something about that for like the more detailed discussion. I mean, before we really get into the book, do you want to just kind of
we'll say what you want to say
about Seinfeld and Curb a little bit?
I mean, I will say they're immensely enjoyable shows for me, but there are flashes of moments where I go like, God, this shit boils my piss. You sent me one the other day, Romanized Visigoth, about the that section where he's like chatting with a black nurse. And he's going like, I just want everyone to have sex with each other, so we're all the same color.
Yeah, that's Curb.
Yeah, and Curb. Yeah, that's what I meant. And there's like this like really scripted. I don't know that a black woman would agree with that. By the way, first of all,
no.
it's a movie, it's a TV show, and ergo he's able to project his own beliefs into the film. Or show.
Well, she was biracial.
Right. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Still, I don't know what her opinion necessarily would have been. He's using this biracial woman as a Jewish sock puppet. But regardless, also another thing is that that time where he thinks he's a Gentile for one day.
Yeah, that's actually the biggest analog to the book, because it's like his essentialism, his essential Jewishness, he forgets for a day,
and he seems to enjoy it. Yeah. So, William, have you seen that episode where it's the season?
No, I never got into Curb. It was too annoying for me.
I can see why. But there's a season in which his dad says to him, like while he's having a stroke or something, "You're adopted," and he hires a black private eye to
black Muslim
private eye to find out if that's true or not. And at one point, he goes, "Larry, I found out that you are actually a guy. You're the children of a child of a family called Cohn." And he thinks, "Oh, Cohen or Cone." Yeah. And then when he gets there, it's Coan, and they're white. They're actually evangelicals, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Well, it's close enough.
Yeah, true. But I was gonna say is so he spends the day thinking he's Gentile. He's drinking beers at a baseball game, singing at a choir, singing hymns at a choir, and he's like, it shows him just like immensely happy and fulfilled. And then he gets back to his hotel room, and the black Muslim guy calls and goes, "I made a mistake. You're not adopted at all." And he's now crestfallen that he's a Jew again, essentially. Pretty funny bit, honestly. But to your point, Romanized Visigoth, it's very reflective of the section in You Gentiles where Samuel says, "You get to be Gentile. I have to be a Jew. It's my suffering to be a Jew." You know.
He does say though that all of their prayers, or their most important prayers, are thanking God for making them not goyim.
Not a gent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Curb it's more purely Jewish because
Yeah.
Seinfeld, George and Jerry are Jew coded. Kramer is Goy coded, and
Even though he's clearly not like, at the same time.
but just the way he acts, like he acts weird to George and Jerry, and
That's true. Yeah.
he kind of understands the outside world in a way that he's clearly bizarre, but it's almost like he's like Harry Esau, because he's kind of like this animal guy.
Yeah.
And then Elaine is a little tricky because she's sort of I can't quite nail her down as a clear coding one way or the other because she's female.
There's an interesting line I noticed in Seinfeld where I don't remember what the context of it was, but Jerry was complaining about all of the women that all of the women he's been dating, and they're all like you. And when I watch it, I'm like, he's talking about Jewish women. Like, he's been dating nothing but Jewish women. That's what he means. But it's said in this really ambiguous way that it's you could without having read You Gentiles, you could let it fly over your head, and it just stuck for me for some reason.
Right. So the difference with Curb is there's really just one character instead of the cast.
Yeah.
It's really just Larry and his interactions with a hostile society. So it's just one extremely Jewish coded person. And of course he has Jewish friends and stuff like Richard Lewis, recurring characters.
Yeah. Marty Funkhauser.
Yeah. But that's my favorite character.
He is awesome. Yeah.
His voice is so funny.
Yeah. Super Dave.
Yeah. And that used to come on. I was obsessed with Saturday morning cartoons around that 1993 time when the Super Dave cartoon, it would come on.
Oh my God, I forgot there was a Super Dave cartoon.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch it, but I think it was ending, and then like the X-Men cartoon back from 1992 would come on. So I would see like the last bit where he does a live action stunt, but it's not a real stunt. It's something dumb like a
"Hey
demolition
everybody, I'm
house
gonna
falling
kill
on
a
him.
chicken and put all my sins into it."
Puts on a motorcycle helmet to swing the chicken. So I find Curb, it's a lot harder to watch because it's the awkward moments are more awkward than the awkward moments in Seinfeld.
Yes.
It's like heavier.
I've talked about this a million times, but when I was a teenager, when Curb was new and I was in high school, I remember on a Sunday night, so I had the Sunday scaries already as it was, and I watched about 4 episodes in a row of Curb, and I absolutely had a panic attack about school the next day. I'm serious. But yeah, to your point, that it is harder to see it through. And I could see, William, why you fell off of it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like clips of the bits with Funkhauser in, and that they are funny.
Yeah, so the shows, I mean, just to like get the thesis really clear, is the characters in Seinfeld or the character in Curb, he's clearly not fitting in to the society around him, and he sees it as hostile, and he's suspicious of it. He sees it as suspicious of him, and he's kind of like, and he can't. The other thing is, like you said, he's constantly criticizing or transgressing against every norm, and he can't stop himself.
Yep.
And in the book, in You Gentiles, Maurice Samuel, he says it's not even on purpose that we do these things. It's our essential nature. And that's expressed in Seinfeld, but it's like boiled down to its essence.
Like that's the entire show of Curb is him just
Yeah.
ripping down various social norms and stuff. And also I remember by the end of the show, it almost becomes, or I didn't see the last few seasons truthfully. Because there's a couple that like reference Trump and stuff. And I just never got that far into watching it. But near the end of the show where like Jeff Garland's daughter is an adult or almost an adult, she's like older teenager. And she pulls Larry aside and says, "You're like a social assassin. You can say to my mom that she shouldn't go after drinking a drink." And he literally, there's a whole episode where he goes like, "Yeah, I'm going to use my powers of critique almost, as it were, in order to like shape people's behavior in ways that people like I'm a bounty hunter almost." You know what I mean?
Okay, so
that's
he
really
makes
pointed.
he makes it too upfront.
But yeah, I don't know that it's too upfront because like particularly it does kind of piss me off when people go. So it's like it's almost like they picked a really relatable one to unveil that notion on you.
Well, that's the thing.
I mean?
Half of the things that he rails against, they give the audience an invite in to identify with him, because some of the things that most people, depending on who you are, you're like, yeah, I hate that, or I would say the same thing. But then he'll have the same quarrelsomeness about something that is, you're just like, shut up, Larry. Oh my God, this doesn't matter. Like, shut the hell up. And he won't do it. So they're kind of like training you to accept that there's these
Jewish
people,
bullshit. Yes.
Yeah. And you just have to accommodate them permanently, whether it sort of makes sense or not.
Yeah, it's funny because when I watch it with my wife, I'll be like, "Well, he's just completely in the wrong here," or "No, you know what? He's kind of I'm on his side this time." You know what I mean? It's exactly. It's like you have a running dialogue with whoever you're watching the show with while discussing it, kind of. And it really. But you're right though. There is times like particularly like when he's doing that thing. It's like in that episode, I feel like that same episode that we were talking about the mixed race woman, and he's saying this like white genocide thing. And like I feel like the rest of that episode he's like pretty relatable, so it's almost like a poison pill they put into the rest of the episode. You know what I mean? It's really intentional and scurrilous.
Yeah, he's also always like bait and switching with the race thing, because when he's around black people in the show, like there's
he code
one
switches.
of the he could, well, he's white, he's like a white representative, and he sort of does the "we're guilty of racism as white people" thing.
Yes.
Like my fellow white people, because who's that black comedian actress who's a recurring character?
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, she's like their neighbor or something.
It's supposed to be Cheryl's like BFF essentially, which is hilarious because he has to write black people into his life as friends in order to have black friends.
So she's always catching him doing something that appears to be racist, and he has to explain it. Like thinking that the black guy waiting by the front of a hotel or wherever he is the valet because he has nice clothes on. But the guy did look like a valet actually, and he was waiting right where a valet.
With his hands crossed, if I'm not mistaken. So
he had like a vest on, which people don't really often wear.
Yeah.
It was. I would have thought he was a valet too, and also if the guy was white.
Yeah, probably in that outfit. Honestly, yeah. Although I'd be like, damn, hard times, huh?
But and then so just to switch over to the movie real quick, like the movie is very different. What About Bob? Because it's not really, it's basically just the Gentile energy and the Jewish energy. And at first I was like, well, why would they make the movie with this coding? And then I realized, because of the YouTube video you sent about it, about its creation, that it's based on a Jewish book about this this time of the year in August when all of the Jewish psychotherapists go on vacation and all of the Jewish people in New York City have breakdowns because they don't have their therapist for a month.
Yes.
So they wrote a screenplay treatment, and it got
Jews
kicked
wrote
around.
the screenplay, by the way, and the producers were all Jews too, by the way.
Right.
That entire premise is just Jewish propaganda to make you think that psychoanalysis does anything.
Does anything for non-Jews, by the way, because they do probably need it. They need to like vent their rage against the world itself to some other co-ethnic who will relate to them in that manner.
Absolutely. I mean, to them it's an essential service, and
I love that word too. Essential service. They're essential workers.
Yes.
Are actually psychotherapists in New York.
So, but then in the movie, to make it a movie that people would actually watch and to make sense to audiences, they make it about the crazy guy who requires like 24/7 access to his therapist is a Gentile.
To a cartoonish level, yeah.
Yeah. Which is of course a total, it's like when they switch the races in A Time to Kill. It totally changes the
A Time to Kill, the yes I hope they did it, I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah.
The real story behind that, for those who don't know, very funny moment in that film when Samuel L. Jackson says that, but the real story is about, so in the movie it's like two Klansmen murder a little black girl, rape and murder a little black girl.
Well, she doesn't die, they almost kill her.
Okay, regardless, but that's what happens in the movie. But in reality, it was two black guys raping a little white girl. But they made this whole movie, this grandstanding anti-racism movie around it. It's like, don't go to the Wikipedia page for this one, libtards.
Yeah, well, it's John Grisham because he wrote the book, and he switched the races. He was like studying law at the time and actually watched this trial, and he was like, "Oh, I wonder." Like the premise for the book was what would happen if
it was the other way around.
If the parent killed the person who did the crime for hurting their kids, what play through that, because then now they committed a crime,
Right.
And then, but for some reason he changed the race, and it's just like a one line. He's like, he changed the races for. And it's like, yeah, John Grisham, like, yes, I believe he deserves to die, and I hope he burns in hell for doing that.
For doing that, yeah.
Well, the authors, the best authors, who are, as far as I'm aware, John Grisham isn't one, write what will sell.
True.
And,
Well, he just wrote spec. His novels are just spec scripts for these stupid law dramas of the 90s, just like that, that Hail Mary movie coming out. That guy.
Oh, is that he did that? Oh, yeah. That Martian guy. Yeah, he writes all these movies, books, just so they can make movies out of it.
I tried to read the book because I like Ryan Gosling, so I was going to see the movie. So I started listening to the audiobook, and this is no exaggeration. It's the worst writing I've ever read. And I'm saying that if you went onto that, what's that forum for like cliterature, fanfic? It's like
fanfiction.net or whatever.
Or it's like something for us for it's like there's a number in there. It's like the really big one. There's like millions of stories. The writing on there is better. Like this writing there's points where the character, the scientist, is in space and realizes, he wakes up from the induced coma and there's a lab, and then he's out in space on a spaceship and there's a lab, and he's like looking at the equipment and they're like, this lab is awesome. Like,
oh boy.
Like, wow, this is the best equipment. Like, I love science.
You
says
think that. I'm going to be using this thing? Shit like that. I hate that fucking writing so much, dude.
I couldn't believe it. I had to stop listening.
There's this Grisham.
No, sorry.
This is a new guy. He's the new Andy Weir, I think his name is.
Weir, yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote the
he's
book
the new
for
version of
The
John
Martian.
Grisham. He does science fiction versions of John Grisham spec scripts.
Yeah, did you see the Matt Damon movie, The Martian?
I did not watch it because it looked like what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up. I watched it when it was new, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I rewatched it a few years ago, and I was like, this is just Reddit.
Yeah. Not to get sidebar here, but I watched like a review of the new what's that game, looter shooter game, and there's a fourth one. Borderlands 4 came out, and I was like watching a review of it going, and they were saying, yeah, so they expanded all these gameplay things. You can customize your armor and chilling. I'm like looking at it and going, this looks kind of entertaining for a few hours. And then they cut to an unedited bit of moments of the game, and the fully voiced character that you play as goes, you think there's enough enemies here? And I'm like, forget it. I'm not fucking playing this shit. Fucking sounds like shit. I'm so sick of that tone in fiction. It's fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
But sorry to get off topic. Let's go back to What About Bob? One of my favorite films, by the way. I'm sailing! Ahoy!
So they switched the I was just making the point with that old John Grisham Time to Kill, because
the race
there's
swap. Yeah.
there's times when swapping races is just about white erasure.
Yes.
And there's times when swapping the races is actually changes the entire essence of the plot of the work.
Yes.
Because A Time to Kill is about a racial is about racism in the South. And the What About Bob book, I forget what it's called. Is it called like August in New York or something?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's about Jewish mental illness, but then it becomes about Gentile mental illness.
Yeah.
And it shows clinging to a Jewish therapist.
I will say this though, in the same breath, it also, throughout the actual plot thrust, you do actually discover that Bob Wiley is the more together guy, and it's actually the Jewish psychotherapist who is a fucking mental patient. He ends up literally institutionalized at the end of the movie.
Well, the thing is, in the beginning, Bob Wiley?
Bob Wiley, which is named after Wile E. Coyote, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. The Bill Murray character is coded as super neurotic in the Jewish way. He doesn't leave his New York apartment. Somehow he has a job that accommodates that. It's never really explained. He's scared to go outside. He's scared to do everything. And he has to like clean everything, like a Jewish neurotic. And the Richard Dreyfuss character is coded as a WASP kind of social climber. Like, oh, my book is coming out. Have you seen my book? Would you like a copy of my book that I'll be interviewed about on the television?
Yeah, he's going to be interviewed on Entertainment or the morning Today Show or something like.
Yeah, like white people show, and he has this vacation home in a clearly like white waspy coded.
I got to push back on that a little bit, and this is not due to any fault of your own, but if anyone who's been to Lake Winnipesaukee will know that Hasidic Jews go there for vacation.
Well, okay, yeah, that's probably true, but I mean the way it's presented in the. Because the bones of the story, of course, is this Jewish book, but the way it's presented on screen is like sailing and such. But then their interaction is
shit.
They it degrades the Richard Dreyfuss character, and it really does seem like the Bill Murray character sort of parasitizes, and it's like transference, like in psychotherapy, he transfers all of the neuroticism and the self-sabotage onto the Richard Dreyfuss character, who can't get rid of him, and makes everybody dislike him.
And everyone falls in love with Bob.
Right. And then in the end, Bob has a book and is a psychotherapist, and Richard Dreyfuss is in a mental institution because he had a mental breakdown. And Bob actually marries. He actually bride gathers Richard Dreyfuss's sister.
Yeah, I know, it's true. Yeah.
So
that's when he snaps, by the way, is when he realizes he's going to have to see Bob for the rest of his life because his sister married him. That's when he actually
because does anybody have anything to object? And he hasn't talked for like months in this like padded cell, and he's sitting there in the pew, and he's like, no, and then everybody's clapping because he finally spoke.
Great fucking movie, by the way. Yeah.
So there is something very Jewish about that, because they see us as clinging to them and parasitizing their genius
and their religion. They think that Christianity is a pale imitation of Judaism.
Right. So there's something really, it doesn't have the same kind of like hostile society feel as Seinfeld and Curb, but it has like on a one-to-one level, like Gentiles they won't leave us alone. When in reality, I mean, the real
book is about Jews freaking out about losing access to their dealer of Jewish talk therapy.
Right. But just in the reality of host nations.
We built the country and then they showed up and
whether it's Europe or whatever. So it's it's kind of like one group can exist without the other. Do you really think it's like Jews? Do you really think like, you know what I mean? Like you would make it without us, and we would be like, oh, well, where are our Jews? Like, where's
yeah. Well, what's it called? Mark Levin, that guy who, by the way, has the fucking president's ear 24/7, is saying shit like this unironically, like to Trump and also to his fucking boomer evangelical radio audience. William, I don't know if God bless you for not keeping up on this stuff, by the way.
I know who Mark Levin is.
Okay, yeah. So, but yes, he's saying shit like America is Jewish and shit like he says unironically says shit like that, and it's like
Well,
there's a bunch of dumbasses nodding their heads, going preach. You know what I mean? Like,
but I mean, it is.
well, okay, you're right. There's a truth to it on some level. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have always been there.
Yeah, I mean, I visited the first Jewish cemetery in Newport, Rhode Island, in America, and it's from 1680 something or other.
Yeah,
It's very upsetting. It's practically empty.
Yes, well, there's a lot of shoes there, so yeah. But yeah. But yeah, so I think you're right. I'd never looked at it that way, this film, but next time I watch it, which I am going to New Hampshire in a couple of months for my yearly vacation, and I will be watching What About Bob while there.
Do you remember when I read that Money Kings book for the show?
Yeah, of course.
And like, who was it? Jacob Schiff was supposed to. His backstory was he just wandered around the American West selling buttons, and then the next thing you know, he's got all the money in the world.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, it's an interesting little transference of transpiring.
is that the one that went to the West and that town burned down?
Yeah,
That was not. I think that was actually Goldman, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, okay. One of them, like, it was San Francisco burnt down every building in San Francisco except his warehouse.
Biblical level Jewish lightning.
So you want to get into the book?
Yeah, let's
go
to the.
And he wouldn't let his staff go and help put the fire out either. They were just standing there.
If I remember correctly, he had worked it out with the fire department that they would focus on his building because his building was holding up several other buildings. And if his building survived, all the ones around it would also. And I guess they probably did. But the point is that he somehow persuaded the local fire department to specifically save his building, essentially.
Yeah, and it was also the most fires. He made a point to buy the most fire-resistant building so that when he set fire to the town, it would have the best chance of standing.
All right, so I'm going to pull up the PDF of the book. I'm going to read a little bit from the book, and yes, I'm going to do the voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wanted you to read as much as we can do of the question, because I think it's important. I
think I could bang through it pretty fast. And we can pause, obviously, for comments. Just speak up. Okay, the question. These last 10 years and more, I have been asking myself with increasing urgency a number of questions. Is there any special significance in the distinction I have so long cherished, the distinction of Jew-Gentile, not to be found in the class of distinctions implied in American foreigner or English foreigner? Is there between us Jews and you Gentiles, that is, between the Jew and on the one hand and the Englishman, the Frenchman, the American on the other hand, that which transcends all the differences which exist amongst yourselves, so that in relation to us, you are Gentiles first and afterwards, and without particular relevance in this connection, Englishmen, Frenchmen, Americans? One thing I will say about he's a little redundant. He does do this redundant thing a bit much. I wish we could have AI clean it up a little.
I mean, he's right about that though.
Oh yes, that's I agree with 85% of this book, like word for word. Essentially.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, he makes some lazy and arrogant sort of mistakes, but
I think he just lies.
And he does it at the beginning of the book. He makes it clear that he's going to do that. He says, "Okay, listen, this isn't a scholarly book. I'm just shooting from the hip here. If I'm wrong about a particular fact, it doesn't change my opinion."
But that's not the lies that matter.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he has blood libel. You know, we'll get there when we get there.
It invokes the swinging corpse of what's
Leo Frank. I know, as if it's supposed to be a tragedy. Like,
the guy raped and murdered a little girl.
No, it was the black guy. says international Jewry.
Yeah. at large. Or is there nothing more implied in that distinction, Jew-Gentile, than, in a general way, in the distinctions Jew-American, American-Englishman, Englishman-Frenchman? Or, in other words, are we Jews but part of the Gentiles, American, Englishmen, Jews, Frenchmen, or is there a deeper cleavage between us? In this Western world, divided primarily into two parts, you Gentiles, we Jews, from this outset I shall be asked, even if you suspect the existence of such a primal cleavage, beyond the reach of ordinary national
cleavage.
or racial classifications. Yeah, they always got to bring sex into things. What purpose can you have in urging it upon the attention of the world? Has it any practical application? Does it in any fashion clarify the status of the Jew or give greater cogency to claims of his as are still unsatisfied? This question will be asked of me by many Jews, but in particular, it will be asked with the utmost insistence by those Jews who have based our case for national rights, national equality, precisely on this assumption, that we Jews are a people like all other peoples, similar in needs and impulses, and that we are Jews, you are Englishmen, you are Italians, you are Americans, and that we, the world's races of people, are of all similar in our differences.
Can I just say, he does say in the Western world, so he does lay out that we're specifically talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about Chinese people.
Right. And at one point he says later in the text, he's like, you could no more make a Jew as you can make a Aryan from a Negro by doing whatever.
Interesting little distinction of his racial essentialism here. Yeah. Although I guess he is a racial essentialist in a way. Like, it's actually the libtards he's talking to are the ones that are kind of the ones not in step with that.
Well, at this point, so I guess this is a good time to just say, first of all, this is being written in the 1920s. So eugenics is, you're almost
liberal.
laughed at for not believing in things like that, stupid people make stupid kids, and that certain races have these traits, and you could do like craniotomy to determine these things. These things are very mainstream. So
liberal, even progressive.
Yeah. So
definitely.
It has
like
to be calibrated to that.
That monkey trial case in
William Jennings Bryan, Scopes monkey trial.
Yeah, that was the science that trial was about was eugenics.
Yeah, I think there was something. There was something
to
it.
It was about a eugenics textbook.
True.
And the teacher got fired for reading it to the class.
Yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they framed it through that religious way, but you're right though that in effect it was banning the talk of eugenics essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to this. Leaving on one side those who deny the existence of any distinctions at all, those that is who say that the Jew is either a Frenchman, an American, or Englishman according to his place of birth, I would answer
like the Rothschilds do.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm sure they really think of it that way. I would answer, for me, the ordinary nationalist or racial classification has not sufficed. If I have long pondered this question of Jew and Gentile, it is because I suspected from the first dawning of Jewish self-consciousness that Jew and Gentile are two worlds, that between you Gentiles and us Jews there lies an unbridgeable gulf. Side by side with this belief grew another, which is related to the practical aspect of that distinction. Hold
on. So this is written in 1925, right, listener?
Yep, thereabouts.
So the widespread adoption of nationalism and modern style states was in its adolescence at best. That basically didn't start till the mid 19th century,
right?
On any widespread basis. When did the Zionist movement start?
Same about time, yeah.
Because, is this sort of nationalist world order being brought in? Was that to facilitate Zionism, I wonder, at some level? Oh, I mean, it's not necessarily.
I'm going to amplify what you're saying. I agree maybe not necessarily per se, but I think it went hand in hand. They
Yeah.
were together at the same time
I
because
mean, that is
if you recall,
how things work, isn't it? That, like a movement will start happening, and the Zionists will adapt it to their ends.
great way of putting it, exactly.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, though, to your point, the idea of the modern nation state that you correctly identified as being sort of birthed out of the mid 19th century went hand in hand with Napoleon sort of liberalizing each of these countries in Europe and breaking apart like the the Holy Roman Empire, for example, and also. But at the simultaneously, he was liberating the Jews in every one of these countries and creating them as national subjects. As before, they were considered aliens that were just in the place. And it was Napoleon and liberalization in this that led to them being considered subjects of each nationality. And ergo, it has to have had some impact on them going, this is nationalism. Why don't we get to have it? Or in my reckoning, they go, how can we use this to our advantage?
Also, that would explain the. I read a lot of 19th century literature, and in that Napoleon is, except perhaps by Tolstoy, Napoleon is treated as some sort of a hero, even by the British and stuff. It's as if, like the admiration for the Polish literature of shortly after the Napoleonic Wars is incredible.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen now.
Even people like Carlyle were into him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. It's just like if you see what they're doing with private equity now or with AI, it seems like, and I think this is echoed in the book, the Jews, they don't create anything like whether it's nationalism or a technology. They just become aware of it and then try to capture it for
their purposes,
the pursuit of their prophetic goals.
What you've got, this whole sort of international conspiracy angle that
he really
racist
doesn't like.
and whatnot. Well, I don't think it is a conspiracy. I think it's just a modus operandi.
That is a way of viewing it. Yeah. There's obviously conspiratorial aspect, the whole Epstein,
sure, but
banking cartels and stuff. But
that's the strong in-group preference that even a child rapist and murderer you can't hang him because he's Jewish. They'd hang the black guy, it would have been fine.
Yeah, they wanted to hang the black guy. I think they were tapping into Southerners' latent racism to go like, hey, guys, don't you want to kill another black?
Well, they were giving out racist hall passes signed by rabbis, just like they do now with Chinese or Arabs. When they want a war, like I guess there's probably a lot of hall passes for being racist against a different kind of brown Muslims.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's going on now on Twitter. You can be like, well, you're being brown coded and blah, blah, blah. By the way, you should just vote Republican. That's how we're going to end the Jews.
Yeah, look, we've been at war with Iran for 47 years and finally we've won 7 times in the last 3 weeks.
Amen, brother. Okay. I do not believe that, situated as we are in your midst, scattered among you from one end of the Western world to the other, we have the right to retain our identity if we are but another addition to the Gentile peoples. Nor, by the way, do I believe that we could have retained it so long had this been the case. If we are but one more people added to the long roster of peoples living and dead, we have no claim worthwhile under these circumstances to continuity of separate consciousness. Such a claim could never have arisen had we remained secure, segregated on our own blood and soil. It would have been our tacit birthright. But as it is, our existence is secured at an infinite expense of special effort on our part and of peculiar discomfort to you. Wherever the Jew is found, he is a problem, a source of unhappiness to himself and to those around him. Ever since he has been scattered in your midst, he has had to maintain a continuous struggle for the conservation of his identity. if your identity is being a usurious non-worker who eats weird shit.
Pro tip for anybody that doesn't like to read Jewish stuff, because some
It's
people
the
get
best
spooked
stuff.
out by this, like because it's kind of like casting a spell. But if you just like the trick, if you're scared of public speaking, imagine the
Picture 'em
audience
naked.
and yeah, naked. Well, imagine the author, however this would sound, like in the voice of like a tapeworm.
Would you still love me if I turned into a tapeworm?
Because like all of these things that he says here, or Jewish literature, can sort of be spoken out of the mouth of a parasite. Like, if you cut me, do I not bleed? Do I not have equal right to access to your blood? To deny me your blood is to deny me life. Would you do that callously?
Well, it's not dissimilar to the way they go, like, well, if you don't like let little children turn into trannies, they're gonna kill themselves, so their blood is on your hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's the same mental game they're playing. Like, okay. Is it worthwhile in the face of this double burden, our own and yours, to perpetuate what may be, after all, an addition of one unit to scores of similar units? Were these centuries of alternate torture and respite not a disproportionately high price to live to increase by one page the already overburdened records of the nations? Were it my belief, as it is, at least in expression, the belief of many fellow Jews, that our right to exist is founded on a similarity to other peoples, that where American or Belgian or Italian has a right to homeland, culture, history, parliament, we Jews have the same right for the same reasons, and for no other reasons, were this my belief, I could not find the heart to continue this struggle or to urge the struggle upon others. The effort too severe, the price too high. The guerdon, I don't know that word actually, is insignificant. Only word in the entire book I didn't know. Were we like other peoples, we ought to have done what other peoples
I
under
think
similar
it's the
circumstances.
good, and it means the meaning.
Okay, well, thank you. You just grokked me. To
Kind
that.
of, yeah. I think.
Well, no, I think it's something it's like I think it's like a Latin derived word for, I think it's a archaic like
looks
like
French.
reward, like reward,
Gordon, yeah, maybe
like
that could be
guerre.
something. Oh, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, so it's good. The effort too severe, the price is too high, and the guerdon is insignificant. So they're saying the price would be not worth doing the effort. So that makes sense to me. But also, it works both ways. We were like other peoples. We ought to have done what other peoples under similar circumstances would do. A people driven from its homeland, a people ground into dust and carried by winds of misfortune into every corner of the world, has no right to inflict its woes and longing on others. Preach! Preach! Read your book.
You know what this makes me think of? Do you remember that MTV movie Angus?
Vaguely, yeah. Who was in that?
I think the bad guy, the football jock bad guy, was the Dawson's Creek guy who just died.
Yeah, Vanderbeek.
Yeah, Vanderbeek. And
what a nice Dutch name, by the way.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of stars in it, but there, it was like the fat football player. He was like the defensive lineman or whatever, and he was like he was good at science and he was sensitive, and nobody gave him a chance because he was fat. And he was always doing this science experiment where he was put in a petri dish, like in a colony, a different bacteria, and it would get killed by that. Couldn't survive
right
in a hostile environment of the majority
normal organisms.
Yeah, and it was symbolic, like that's him in high school. He doesn't fit in, and how could he survive?
Okay,
and then yeah, and like finally in the end he gets it to work or something, where this like one different species or genus or whatever, I forget the exact experiment. It's probably not technically correct or whatever in the movie,
I'm
but
sure
whatever the bacterium or microbe experiment he's doing, finally he gets it to be able to survive in a hostile environment where it doesn't belong. And it's like very Angus doesn't seem like a Jew coded movie, but now that I think of it, he is looking at everything as like the other. And,
Wyatt Stagg would watch that and do a whole thing about how he is Jew coded.
Yeah.
Shouts out Wyatt Stagg, by the way. Hope you make more videos. Um, okay, so let's keep going. Um, Such would be my belief if I saw in ourselves only the replica with proper variations of the rest of the world, but this is not my belief, for I see otherwise. Years of observation and thought have given increasing strength to the belief that we Jews stand apart from you Gentiles, and that a primal duality breaks the humanity I know into two distinct parts. That this duality is a fundamental, and all that differ and that all differences among you Gentiles are trivialities compared with that which divides all of you from all of us. I am aware that this is a thesis which cannot be supported by diagrams, tables, and logarithms.
He's wrong with that.
Yeah, he is actually wrong about
It can,
that.
well, it's a bit more time to play out, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. That's true at the time. Yeah, I will.
We don't do wars.
True. We got one going on right now. I was just going to say, though, I was going to just say, maybe we'll just skip over him doing all this qualification, but I'll just barrel through it. I'm aware that this is a thesis which cannot be supported by diagrams, tables, and logarithms. It cannot even be urged with the apparent half-compulsion of social and economic laws. The cogency of what I have to say does not depend on reference to obvious and ineluctable laws, natural processes acknowledged and accepted. I am also aware that the weight of what is called learned opinion will be thrown against me, and that my contention will meet with the ridicule of facile common sense and of scholarship. Nevertheless, I set it down clearly that in this Western world, there are essentially two peoples as spiritual forces, and only two human sections with essential meaning, Jew and Gentile. But at least what credentials have I to offer, since the presentation of credentials must always precede the presentation of thesis? What claim have I on the attention of the world? I do want to pause and say we're probably not going to talk too much about this. I think this is the time to discuss this. But I agree. Later on in the book, he goes into a kind of an aside. It's not really essential to his argument, but he's talking about how there are certain things that are, particularly as they relate to just the human experience, that no amount of like credentialism could provide you a license to discuss. And he even goes on to say, like, there are people who are like super learned scholars who are like the most superstitious fucking retards ever. You'll meet them all the time who believe in complete phantasm. For instance, by the way, people who were otherwise like really analytical STEM type academics, but meanwhile they also hold insane things like racial, like what do you call blank slate, you know what I mean, like that kind of idea, that insane fantasies that are like common held as part of societal like programming essentially. But meanwhile, so this person is like a fucking literal rocket science, but also thinks that Tyrone, it could be as good at math as Spencer.
Right. Yeah.
But sorry, I just wanted to point out, because we might not get to it later, is that I really agree with his take, is that like there's no credential, and this is kind of him backing up this point that he's making now, is that there's no credential you can claim to be like, I understand human nature better than you. And anyone, even a dumbass, can sometimes perceive things like this, differences between peoples.
Yeah, and I agree with him. And I also just want to say, in the early part, I think the writing is good. I think the argumentation is good. I mean, there's points that he has to stretch, and he has to kind of sacrifice literary quality or I don't know, fairness of prose or whatever to like make it a Jewish work.
Punchy.
Well, but that is kind of the thrust of the book as well, isn't it? That he doesn't have a sense of fair play.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So he's kind of telling you, it's sort of like one of those novels where they tell you that the narrator is unreliable.
Yeah, like a conspiracy of dunces or whatever.
Yeah, right? And then proceed to give you a narration from the narrator, and then you have to figure out or
what is real. Yeah,
interpret. So it's funny he kind of gives you that, but I think a lot of these things he says, like the half compulsion or whatever he said of economic and social law, that holds up, because economic laws are kind of halfway between like
Talmud
just some sort of humanities concept and like a scientific law.
That's true. Yeah, because it's an art, not a science, really. It was particularly if you're looking at through like an Austrian sense.
I mean, these days we
guess.
would say soft science.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
And so I just want to say that, like, if anybody wants to read this for themselves, I would never discourage it, because just you can hear in this first part that it's not like polemic
An
in the way.
academic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
polemic, not academic.
it's not difficult to read. I mean, it doesn't start hitting you right out of the gate. It's actually very reasonable. And like I was saying before, the first like 6 or so chapters I think are extremely reasonable, and it's not until he gets a little bit closer to halfway through when he starts doing
The destroyer stuff.
like crying out as he strikes us.
you. Yeah.
Which I wrote I was saying it was like a wailing wall text of where he starts, hitting with the, you kill us, you steal from us, you lie about us.
TLDW, too long didn't wail.
Yeah. So
if it was a novel, it'd be Hannibal Kibbutz.
So, but the first, like about approximately half, the first 5 or 6 chapters are completely without that sort of like, oh, fuck him. This is bullshit. Like, it's stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally true. He's describing the reality just from the other side of myself. And he's saying it quite fairly.
Yeah. Okay. So what, so he says, what claim have I on the attention of the world? I can only answer that this book, being a serious book, source needed. Just kidding. It actually is kind of serious. But I just love that he said that. That's so Jewish.
Well, it's in the book I wrote.
Yeah.
For
Must
one
carry
thing.
its.
That's
must
how the
carry its own
propaganda
credentials.
machine works now, isn't it?
Yeah, we said it, didn't we?
Well, somebody in the government leaks something to the Washington Post, and then the
We
government
reported
reacts
on
to
it,
the
so
leak
therefore
and
it's factual.
yeah, now it's a fact.
Okay. Must carry its own credentials and does not attempt to borrow importance from outside sources. I offer myself only as a Jew who has lived, observed, and thought. My experiences and contacts have been somewhat more varied than those of most men, but this has little to do with my views. The truth which is spread over the whole world is also contained in any part of it. The laws of gravitation are implied as completely in the falling of a pebble to earth as in the rush of the sun against the counter rush of its companion stars. The law of Einstein works no less truly in its crawling of a snail than in its dizzy vibration of the fastest atomic subunit. These
The
laws
laws of
are...
Einstein don't work.
There's...
I agreed.
Yeah. I love how he gets to take credit for all
Yeah.
theoretical physics too, by the way. It's so on brand.
It's such a lazy libtard. Well, it's common now, isn't it? But I would imagine
It was
pretty
probably a
new, that
libtard
one.
take at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, actually, you mentioned it. These laws are no more easily observed as in the one set of cases than in the other. That is all. If I have touched the truth, it has been primarily through contact with life, and I have regarded books but a class of living things. This is a good take, by the way.
But by the way, contact with life. That video we watched on YouTube had a bit of autobiography in it. The guy was married 3 times, which is so he's pretty abstemious that way for one of it. But
Yeah.
he lived his entire life just going from one hotel room to another, getting paid to do lectures and stuff.
I know. What a...
Not quite his entire life.
Well, until he was like 80.
Until he was in Israel. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Until he was 80 and he cradle snatched some 70-year-old woman.
He's kind of like Royal from Royal Tenenbaums, living in hotels.
You see that. He's Jewish coded, by the way.
In
In fact, he's half Jewish in the in the
he's
movie.
he's Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was also going to say, but talk about a rootless cosmopolitan, by the way.
Yeah,
Literally,
exactly,
like he's literally
Talking,
rootless.
lecturing to me about nationalism from your fucking hotel room.
I know. Okay. Where was I? It is a class of, I agree with this take though. I've regarded books as but a class of living things to be observed, interpreted, and placed in their setting. That's amazingly true in the sense that this book could only have come out of you, brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like my brother in Moloch. But what's it called? But that's what I'm saying. But like, it's true that any book you read is going to be a product of its authorship, and you should keep that in mind when you read books, frankly. And it sometimes does bear repeating. So I'll agree with him there. Life itself, observation of men and women, singly and in masses, a knowledge of their works, among which books are important, a feeling for the desires, perception of their intent in cities, laws, theaters, games, wars, all this has brought me to the conception I shall set forth. All scholarship, particularly that scholarship which deals with the manifestations of man's desires and fears, consists of unauthoritative marginal notes which are of interest chiefly as giving us some insight into the nature of those that jotted them down. Exactly what I just said. It does no harm to know the history that is in books, but only the only authentic history is around us. It is made daily in newspapers, well, not anymore, theaters, meetings, election campaigns, and it is less valuable to know what the waiter said at the Simplicissimus Cabaret in Vienna when I was there 3 years ago than to know what Terence reports a slave to have said in Rome when he was there 2,000 years ago. What if my neighbor, the professor, reads Greek rather less fluently than did a certain thick-witted Athenian citizen who lived in the time of Pericles, and by no means as well as I read English? Is that proof of wisdom or understanding? And supposing my neighbor on the other side, I'm assuming these people are all Jewish, by the way.
Well, they're all staying in a hotel.
Yeah. The famous professor of history knows rather less about the Peloponnesian War than, say, Dennis Miller. Than the intelligent college student knows about the World War. Is that professor, therefore, wiser than most men, in his opinion on life, more valuable? And supposing another scholar purports to tell us what the ancient Egyptians believed, and from his account of this dead religion pretends to teach us secrets of faith. Can he tell me what John Doe, Isaac Levy believes? Does John Doe believe that Christ rose from the dead? Really believe, as a plain truth, as he would believe it if his mother, whom he buried 5 years ago, should suddenly come walking into his house, rotted away and clad in a tattered cerements? Believe
I
it
gotta
is
say that's a little blasphemous. I'm not Christian,
Yes,
but the way
clearly.
he describes the resurrection as like a zombie rotting, you can
Yes, I know.
there's a little bit of like the ass mad
Yeah, but
about Christianity.
The entire exist. Okay, so I'm going to
Talmudic
cut ahead a
Judaism.
bit. Right. So later on in the book, oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Right. Well, the whole existence of Jews now.
Talmudic
I was saying
Judaism.
we mentioned it earlier how he, or maybe we talked about it off air or something, but like he says, oh no, it was in that video that he says that Jews Christians have got like penis envy against Jews because Jesus came from Jewish roots, right, and that's why we hate Jews apparently, and which makes no sense to me, but anyway.
Only a Jew can ever come up with that.
Yeah, and the what he's doing here is just, I mean, it's pretty, like you say, Romanized. It's pretty honest at this stage of the book. The only reason that that group that Jesus preached to, that the primary consumers of his ministry, they're the remnant who thought he was full of shit and hated him. And that's so that's what it is. That's your Judeo-Christian values.
To put the fine point on it,
They
Talmudic
are, but
Judaism.
they're literally, the whole thing is blasphemous.
Yeah. Well, Talmudic Judaism, which is actually, believe it or not, emerged around the same time as the real Christian church actually emerged as a real thing.
Yeah.
So, i.e., in AD times, was absolutely a reaction and a sort of circling of the wagons, to borrow a phrase, of the remaining Jews who weren't schismed off into what would become Christianity. Their entire raison d'etre is the rejection of Christ, essentially.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it
That's
is.
what I
So
was trying to say.
their entire thing is that essentially, because if you take it as granted, as he does, by the way, that Jesus was a Jew and came to proselytize to the Jews and convert the Jews, then ergo your whole religion is a rejection of something
That
which
is
happened
what
within
it
your
is, yeah.
religion. Yeah. By your own fucking logic.
It wasn't
brother.
that before, but straight away afterwards, that's what it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but when he talks about the rotting mother, it's like he ain't got to say it like that, you know.
No. No, but I mean, all I'm saying is that's just an honest take of that's how they view it, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. He's really showing you who he is when he says shit like that. Honestly. And does Isaac Levy believe that the waters of the Red Sea were divided as he would believe it if one day below Williamsburg Bridge he were to see the waters split, rear, and fall again? Notice the duality between those two references, by the way. One is a genuinely, as you said, Romanized Visigoth, a very blasphemous depiction of Christ's resurrection as a zombie attack versus something as innocuous as a place where Jews lived, the waters moved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And does neither John Doe nor Isaac Levy believe as cogently as this, then what do they really believe, if they believe anything at all? And if the professor cannot answer these questions, what does he mean when he says that Egyptians believe that Osiris rose from the dead? What do his reports matter?
This is, I do want to say, though, this is actually an extremely important thing for people who study the classics, like to understand, because it is just like in old academia when elites would learn Greek and Latin to be considered educated. It really is just a game, It's just because, of course, yeah, it's true. Like they're the best Greek student that's ever lived in modern times doesn't read and write Greek as well as one of the poorest Greeks who was there. Of course, the speaking is impossible because it's reconstructed. But even with the writing, I mean, there are maybe not the poorest, but anybody who was literate in ancient Greece probably writes Greek better than the most intelligent.
Thomas Jefferson, I know he learned ancient Greek apparently as part of his studies and trying to be a fancy guy.
Then like Richard Lattimore or something. But and this should be kept into mind is that when people do say like, oh, the Greeks believed this, and it's like, okay, well, what do people believe today? And there's this idea that in history things are different than now. That people they don't, and it's a small point that he sort of makes to defend his writing as not like a cited academic work because he just didn't want to do it that way. But it's true, like there is. Oh, I found this tablet that says something. That means they believed this. Well, shit, right. I found something written on the bathroom wall, yesterday. That doesn't mean everybody thinks that, Jenny's a slut. It's just one person.
I found my own telephone. I found my own telephone number on a public toilet wall.
It's like imagine
saying that, and it said that I suck cock.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not true.
And that bathroom gets blown up, and there's a little fragment found in 1,000 years, and it says Williams sucks cock.
Yeah.
Well, they believed William here sucked cock. And here's the authoritative. It's like under glass. The piece.
I really hate classicism and like dinosaur science, whatever, the paleontology.
Me too, actually.
Because they just find a little thing and make a load of bullshit up about it, don't they?
They're literally high on coke, these guys too, by the way. Often, by the way, given the time period at hand. But anyways, let's jump back. There is no tested guarantee of a man's wisdom or of his reliability beyond what he says about life itself. Life is the touchstone. Books must be read and understood in order that we may compare the experience in life with the sincere report of the experience of others. But such and such a one who has read all the books extant on history and art is of no consequence unless these are to him an indirect commentary on what he feels around him. Hence, if I have drawn chiefly on experience and contemplation and little on books, which others will discover without my admission, this does not affect my competency, which must be judged by standards infinitely more difficult of application. Life is not so simple that you can test a man's nearness to truth by giving him a college exam. Such examinations are mere games. They have no relation to reality. You may desire that some such easy standard by which you can judge whether or not a man is reliable. Does he know much about history, much biology, much psychology? If not, he is not worth listening to. But it is part of the frivolity of our outlook to reduce life to a set of rules and thus save ourselves the agony of constant reference to first principles. No. Standardized knowledge is no guarantee of truth. Put down a simple question, a living question. It's like this. Should A have killed B? I ask it to 10 fools, 5 will say yes, 5 will say no. Ask it to 10 intelligent men, 5 will say yes, 5 will say no. Ask it to 10 scholars, 5 will say yes, 5 will say no. The fools will have no reasons for the decisions. The intelligent men will have a few reasons for and as many against. And the scholars will have more reasons for than against. For and against. But where does the truth lie? What then shall be a criterion of man's reliability? There is none.
Was one of the guys Jewish?
Crucial missed point, actually, that he did not ignore, that he ignored.
For instance, when Leo Frank killed that girl, that was all right.
It's true. You didn't. They didn't. It's
but
like
when
it's
he
like
got killed.
It's like all the people in the mob that hanged him were like, I consent, and then the meme says, isn't there something you didn't ask? And it's the Jews saying, I do not consent. Okay, where were we? There is none. You cannot evade your responsibility thus by entrusting your salvation in the hands of a priest specialist. Agreed, by the way. A simpleton may bring you salvation, and a great philosopher may confound you. You try to read fucking Being and Nothingness by fucking what's his name there? Can't remember the name of him.
I couldn't even read Dugan.
Dugan's pretty unintelligible, yeah. And so to Life Direct, as I have seen it working in others and felt it with myself, I refer to the truth of what I say. And books I refer to only insofar as they are manifestations of life. But another question, more subtle and disturbing, must have faced. I have said there are two life forces in the world I know, Jewish and Gentile, ours and yours. If this be a truth, we must not be driven from it if, like many other truths, it is overlaid and obscured by the irrelevancies of life, by the intersection and confusion of our currents. Here is the Gentile life force, here is the Jewish life force. What their origin was, I cannot say. I can only surmise dimly what circumstances, reacting upon what original impulses, produced the Jewish life force and the Gentile life force. I can only affirm to the Jews, in the main belongs to the Jewish life force, a consistent and coherent force, a direction in human thought and reaction. To you others belongs the Gentile life force, a mode of life and thought distinct from ours. But the borderline is not clear. Not all us Jews are representative of this Jewish life force. Not all of you Gentiles are altogether alien to it. We have lived for many centuries in close contiguity, if not in intimacy. Our prophetic books, our most characteristic influence, have been read to you for many hundreds of years. Something in these books have developed here and there among you, a latent individual impulse to our Jewish way of life and thought. Essentially, our prophetic books cannot change your Gentile nature, but in stray, predestined hearts, they bring forth fruit. So he's talking about spiritual Jews like Elon Musk. Your outlook on life, your dominant reactions, same way today as hang on a sec. I accidentally scrolled. The same way today. Where the hell did I go? Oh, I'm so sorry. Today, as it were 2,000 years ago. All that has changed in the instrument of expression. You live the same life under different face, but something clings to you here and there resembling the original form of the faith we gave you. Here and there, our somber earnestness breaks out of the dazzling kaleidoscope of your history, and we, for all the segregation, have caught, particularly of late, something of your way of life. As a few Gentiles are spoken in Jewish tones, like me right now, so more than one Jew speaks in the language of the Gentile. Jews live in a Gentile life here and there, while Gentile lives give expression to Jewish emotions. Yet the cleavage is here, abysmal and undeniable. In the main, we are forever distinct. Ours is one life, yours is another. Such accidental confusions as to make some Northerners darker than Southerners does not affect the law that the Southerner is darker skinned. My usual one I go to is I've seen a couple dogs with 3 legs. Doesn't mean that when I say dogs have 4 legs, am I wrong? That's what my usual go-to is. The law holds nonetheless for accidental and contradictory cases. You may even have Jews in your midst who did not learn their way of life from us and did not inherit it from a Jewish forebear. We may have authentic Gentiles in our midst. These single protests are of no account. They are extreme and irrelevant variations. And of a little account are the occasional transferences of customs and conventions taken over in the mass. We may have customs and conventions of yours imposed on our fundamental way of life, even as you have the service credo of a Jewish faith imposed on your way of life. But in the end, your true nature works itself into the pattern of the borrowed faith and expresses itself undeniably. So we, borrowing from you, finally assimilate the loan and in time make it essentially ours. Beyond all these irrelevancies which hide at times do not change the issue lies that clear and fateful division of life, Jewish and Gentile. Because I have mingled intimately with the Jewish world and with the Gentile world, I know how easily exceptions obscure the rule. But I know just as well...
Sure, the chambermaid's Jewish. The chambermaid's Gentile.
Yeah. Yeah, he also would talk to... that if that lecture was to be believed, I guess he was talking to, like... other academics who are, like, interested in Jewish shit. Like, that's always, like, all guys who are sucking up to him anyway, so that's... Regardless, I don't think it actually takes away from what he's saying.
I mean, he's just saying he mingled with Gentiles in a book which
he wants an award
says that
for
that's
doing
impossible.
So. Yeah.
The thesis of the book is that that's impossible, and yet he claims that he's done it.
He's different. He's a special case. I know how easily exceptions obscure the rule, but I know just as well the unsounded abyss between us. What I have learned in your midst stands in my mind sharply severed from what I have learned in the midst of my people. I listen to your life, to the brilliant chorus which goes up from lands, governments, cities, books, churches, moralities, and in my mind I can no more confuse it with the tone of Jewish life than I confuse the roaring of a tempest with the deliverance utterance of the still small voice. I repeat, it is of life I speak. Masses, this is more of the fucking clarification stuff. I'd really like to jump over this, but I don't know where to go.
Page 31. To you, life is a game and a gallant adventure is a good...
That's what you want.
Yeah. Let's do that. 30.
I was anticipating that you would want to skip ahead, so I found a spot.
Yeah. The problem is I think I'm looking at a PDF as opposed to I don't know if it's the same PDF as I'm looking. I'll skip ahead to see if 31 is the correct spot, actually.
Do word search for gallant.
That's a good idea. Oh, I got it. To you, it was 31. You were right. To you, life is a game and a gallant adventure, and all life's enterprises partake of the spirit of the adventurous. To us, life is a serious and sober duty pointed to a definite and inescapable task. So that means, by the way, there was 3 more pages of him saying, I shouldn't be able to say this, but I'm going to say it. Hold on to your hats. Hold on to your small hats. To you, life is a game. All life's enterprises partake of the spirit of the adventurous. To us, life is a serious and sober duty pointed to a definite and inescapable task. Your relations to gods and men spring from the joy and rhythm of the temporary comradeship or enmity of spirit. Our relation to God and men is dictated by a somber subjection to some eternal principle. Your way of life, your moralities and codes are the rules of a game. None of the less severe or exacting for that, but not inspired by a sense of fundamental purposeness. Our way of life, our morality and code, does not refer to temporary rules which govern a temporary and trivial pastime. They are inspired by a belief, a true belief, a belief that reaches below assertion into instinctive reaction, although I kind of agree with that, in the eternal quality of human endeavor. To you, morality is the right thing. To us, morality is right. For all the changing problems of the human relationship which rise with changing circumstances, you lay down the rules and regulations of the warrior, the sportsman, and the gentleman. We refer all problems seriously to eternal law. For you, certain acts are unbecoming to the pertinent ideal type, whether he be a knight or a decent fellow.
You mean like bombing girls' schools?
Yeah, that's not being a decent fellow in most of our
It's not
lives.
gallant
It's not
or sporting.
Yeah. We have no such changing systems of reference. Only one command: bomb children.
Yeah. Bomb them and bum them.
Yeah, bum them too, yeah. And all your moral attributes are only varieties of Queensberry rules. Honor, loyalty, purity, these are sets of regulations. The best of you will not swerve from them. You will die in their defense, like the gallant gentleman that you are. But you will not brook the question whether your system of honor is founded on right, whether loyalty has relation to intelligence, whether purity has relation to the state of mind. Honor means but one thing, to do the honorable thing, whether it be honor in dueling, honor among thieves, honor of women. Honor, loyalty means the quality of being loyal, independent of right or wrong. Purity means the chastity of the body or the denial of desire. As such, it is related to the game and not to God.
Can I just? This is another contradiction in this work where he shits on loyalty in the Gentile sense
Because he doesn't have it.
He goes on about university sports teams and gay shit like that doesn't matter. But on the other hand, the whole book is about the loyalty of Jews within their in-group.
Yeah, he's saying that ours is different and better,
Yeah.
essentially.
He also doesn't ascribe the word loyalty. He would say that theirs is founded on love or something, or like an
Yeah.
inescapable purpose of collective action.
Yeah.
Which I can't like necessarily argue with per se, because they do seem to almost instinctively do this. Like it's not like something that was beaten into them. Like, whereas I'm not going to say that like we're blank slates or anything, but like you do learn about like the virtue of loyalty and honor as you get older. It's not something that's built into you as a Gentile necessarily.
Well, I don't know about that. I had, grew up in the suburbs, and I specifically remember at school and at home, block fights where kids would have these little vendettas, and if you lived on one side of a street or like down the street, closer to one intersection, and then the house is closer to another, you would be immediately, without even question, drafted.
Point taken. And also, I will say to this day, I still hate Canton, Massachusetts, and I hate Bill Burr just for being born in Canton, Massachusetts, by the way.
I mean, I remember my best friend being down the street, and when this thing happened, I wasn't on his side.
No,
and we
that's a
had
fucking
these
movie right there.
and we had these like little battles, and there was like prisoner capture and prisoner negotiation. Like the smaller kids would get like grabbed by the big ones and then negotiated.
The town I grew up in, we had 5 different high schools, and there's a great big park in the town that was just grass, and the schools would arrange. I don't know how it was done, but it would get around the school you go to is meeting this other school in the park. At lunchtime, we're gonna have a fight.
Okay, fair point. You're right about
but
the
nobody
loyalty
gave
thing.
a shit about the school, really. It was just
it was about
to have
having
a fight.
an enemy inside of you. Okay, I agree. You know what? I take back what I said. Loyalty definitely is possibly something that's almost biological, but honor is something you have to learn about what that means. Like different various, you don't walk out of the womb being like, I will never cheat on my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like you kind of got to learn that through like.
Well, yeah, it's like language. Like we have
that's what I mean.
unit for absorbing these ideas from our adaptations. But yeah, the actual
the protocols of it are sort of implanted as you are raised within a society.
Right.
There's something about it though, because like if a dog steals a Brussels sprout off your plate while you're not looking, and then you
He's gonna
see
have gas later.
and then you see the dog with the Brussels sprout, it'll look guilty.
Yeah.
It knows it's done something wrong.
Yeah.
Well, dogs.
But a cat doesn't.
I was going to bring this up later, but pack animals, I was going to use wolves as an example for the Indo-European, specifically, culture. But let's just put a pin in that. But that is a true observation that different animals, whether they're solo hunters or pack hunters, have the same exact, not the same exact, but analogous differences in their bioculture, as Samuel is saying that we and the Jews do.
Yeah, it's right. Because that's why dog's man's best friend, isn't it? Because he is a pack animal, and he
Cats will gleefully
quickly
steal
gets
your
loyal
food
to
and
the
not give a
group.
fuck.
Yeah, he bonds onto the group. Whereas a cat,
Well, cats will bring you food though.
That's
Yeah.
true.
But it's a different relationship.
it is, yeah.
It's true. Well, yeah, it's like Jews and Gentiles are just different. It's
A
not that
dog's like a
they're-
wife, and a cat's just like a fuck buddy or something, isn't it? So, like, if the cat doesn't call, it's fine. But if the dog runs away, it's being a naughty boy.
I've never heard that analogy before, but I struggle to argue with it. Okay. For us, these distinctions do not exist, for we are serious in our intentions. We will not accept your rules because we don't understand them. That's for shit sure. My cat's screaming right now, so you must have heard me talking shit on cats, by the way. Right and wrong is the only distinction we are fitted by our nature to appreciate. We are puzzled by your punctilios, love that word, your quaint distinctions, your gentlemen's comme il faut. We are amazed when you fight for them. We are struck dumb when you die for them. A song on your lips. Not that we do not know how to die for a cause, but we must die for a serious cause, for a reason, for right, for God. Not for a slogan without meaning, for a symbol its own sake. Hi, Spencer. He's right under my table right now. He came to hear me talking about cats. Not for a slogan without meaning, for a symbol of its own sake, for a rule of its own sake. We will die for the right and not for the right thing. This difference in behavior and reaction springs from something much more earnest and more significant than a difference in beliefs. It springs from a difference in our biological equipment. It does not argue the inferiority of the one or the other. It is a difference in the taking of life which cannot be argued. Dude, if you fuck up with the wires, I'm going to fucking punt you. It is, I'm sorry, the fucking cat is invading the house.
Cats are a pest.
Yeah, right now he is.
They should have their own country.
You want to come up in the chair? Come on.
That'll fix it.
Yeah. You can see him a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer, does he
Yes.
talk like this? Really? I think that
That's hot stuff.
yeah.
That's what he's saying. Okay. In our system of life, you are essentially without morality. In your system of life, we must forever appear graceless. To us, you must forever appear godless. Seen from beyond both of us, there is neither right nor wrong. There is your Western civilization. If your sense of impermanence of things, the essential sportiness of all effort, the gamesomeness and gameness of life, has blossomed in events and laws like these I have seen around me, it cannot, from an external point of view, neither yours nor ours, be classified as right or wrong. Wars for Helen and for Jenkins' ear, duels for honor and for gambling debts, death for a flag, loyalties, gallant gestures, a world that centers around sport and war with a system of virtues related to these, art that springs not from God but from joyousness and suffering of the free man. Dude, if I go this way, you're going to knock everything over. You got to go that way. Fuck.
He's a
A
Nietzsche.
world... Yeah, he is. A world of play which takes death itself as part of the play, to be approached as carelessly and pleasantly as any other turn of chance, cities and states and mighty enterprises built up on the same rush of feeling and energy as carries a football team, and in the same ideology. This is the effervescence of the Western world. It has a magnificent, evanescent beauty. It is a valiant defiance of the gloom of the universe. Isn't that wonderful? Why do you hate that?
Yeah.
A warrior's shout into the ghastly void, a futile thing to us, beautiful and boyish. For all of its consistencies and failures within itself, it has a charm and rhythm which are unknown to us. We could never have built the world like yours. That's true. You couldn't.
This is why you get these IDF guys guys and gals in Gaza,
Thailand.
like raping Palestinian children
Mhm.
and videoing themselves doing it, and they don't get in trouble for it because
Or going to Thailand and being
it's all
fucking
to
bastards
the-
too.
it's right because it's tending towards the goal.
Yeah.
You do whatever it takes without any restraint of
Compunction.
honor or punctilios.
The effervescence of our life, given free room, is profoundly different. We have none of this joyous gamesomeness. We fight and suffer and die even as we labor and create, not in sport and not under the rules of sport, but in the feeling and belief that we are part of an eternal process. We cannot have art such as you have, a free and careless lyrical beauty, songs, and epics. This is the fucking bit part I agree with the most in the whole book, is that just what I was talking about earlier. Fucking Seinfeld and Curb, that's like to me, the most quintessential Jewish art, at least in mainstream culture. Yes, I know. But what is it? It's them critiquing Gentiles. You could not even make art without us to critique on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your entire raison d'etre is just going, goy, goy, waving their fingers the whole time, you know? And it's true that like the things that like when you picture the word art, what is it? It's fucking Italian Renaissance guys who are deeply devout Catholics, you know what I mean? And or get the fuck, dude.
We should do it. We should do an art episode on Simon of Trent.
Oh yeah. Oh, did the cat get Scott? The cat actually got him.
I think so. Yeah. But that Simon of Trent, I don't know anything about it, apart from what everybody does. But like, it's one of those. It's been debunked, hasn't it? So there, move along, Leo Frank.
Well, it's been debunked and then rebunked.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly. I mean, anything that's been debunked.
Have you heard of the book Passovers of Blood?
No.
We're back.
Oh, we're back.
Cat pulled the wire out of the internet, out of the computer.
You come back fast, considering that.
Well, because he just barely pulled it out, and I just stuck it right back in. And
that's what she said.
Yes.
You beat me to it, bro.
All right, we're back. And I also ushered him out of the room by pushing his head, by the way. Okay, where the fuck were... He's back. What the fuck?
Do you know a cat's head is the only thing in the world harder than a diamond?
True. And the brain is the size of your average diamond, by the way. Yeah, so I don't know what that sound is. Spencer, you gotta go away, dude. I'm sorry, you have to leave. This is crazy. Okay, where the fuck was I? So yeah, what was I saying?
You need
before?
Lebensraum. You've got to get rid of that cat.
I know. He's an Untermensch.
He's got wooden paws.
Yeah. Okay. Where the fuck were we? But that's my point. So okay, that's what I was saying. I was in the middle of saying that. When you literally picture art and music, what comes to mind? You have like Johannes Bach, like writing a fucking song about the Gospels, you know what I mean, with lyrics by Martin Luther, and stuff like that. So like that's what I mean. Like that is the literal stereotypical image of art we have in our heads as Western society. But you look at art nowadays, what is it? It's Lena Dunham's dad drawing big vaginas and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, that's what it is today. This is fucking. I'm literally not
what
even doing
happened.
anything. No, are we still here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's for some reason my computer is just going doodaloo 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 over and over again. It's doing it again.
Oh, yeah, we're not hearing that.
Okay, well that's good, I guess. I'm sorry. It will be in the audio version, unfortunately.
Do you have to change something real quick to
No,
make that
we're
stop?
good. I'm hoping it's going to just stop. It literally did it just now. I know you guys didn't hear it, but
Yeah.
okay. All right. Our sense of beauty springs from immersion in the universe, from a gloomy desire to see justice done in the name of God. Morality itself we take simply and seriously. We have none of your arbitrary regulations, your fine flourishes, and disciplined gallantries. We only know right and wrong. All the rest seems to us childish irrelevance. When God speaks in us, when his overwhelming will drives us to utterance, we are great. Otherwise, we are futile. With you, there cannot be a question of futility. We belong to the one mastering God. You belong to the republic of playing gods, playful gods. These are two ways of life, each utterly alien to each other. Each has its place in the world, but they cannot flourish with the same soil. They cannot remain in contact without antagonism. Though to life itself, each way is a perfect utterance. To each other, they are enemies. Okay, I can stop doing the voice. My throat's killing me right now.
Hey, listen, I've got to go soon, but I want to ask a question before I go, which is
please.
a little bit off topic.
The question?
Israeli Foreign Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. When was has he been seen in public since March the 1st? Do we know? It's like March
To my knowledge, no. Hopefully,
No.
I don't want to say anything Fed posty, but I mean, it would be a real shame if he was gone.
More like shit about a bender queer, am I right?
I knew it was coming and I still laughed. Oh man. So yeah, we got through the first chapter there. Now we could take a little sort of cursory look at each section afterwards. But yeah, it is sort of lay out the thesis all in one right there at the beginning. So yeah, that's your sort of intro, and I think it's pretty fitting. And I'm glad the noise stopped happening, by the way, and the cat left.
Yeah. By the way, I saw a video on that exact noise. Right? This is what I was trying. No, a couple of good videos I've seen lately, but I saw this video of this guy, and it's just a black man's hand, and he's got the little USB thing, and he's sliding it in and out of the back of the computer, and he's going, "Check this shit out." And he goes, "Doo-doo-doo," when you plug it in. And, no, sorry, when you pull it out, it goes, "Doo-doo-doo," and when you put it in, it goes, "Doo-doo-doo." Right?
Yep, that is what the noise that was happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Check it out. I'm Mark Zuckerberg." And he pulls it and goes, "No, you're not."
I love their monkey shines.
Check this shit out.
Oh man. But yeah, so okay, the next chapter is on sport, which is like a big thesis, big part of the thesis essentially, which is when I first read it, I was like almost like, no, this isn't true. But then he does go into his points, and I'm like, I see what I did the black person noise there. Shit.
So yeah, so it's sport, gods, utopia, loyalty, and discipline. Those are the developing of his thesis of the essentiality of the difference. And then the chapters after that, that's when he begins the Wailing Wall text.
Yes.
So they're all. This is like all a kind of one section after the question.
So the difference so war is a game, right? So he's presenting it there as
this is one of my big areas of disagreement with him.
Well, he's right over the target with it, really, because it's from his own point of view. Because it is all about bombing girls' schools and shooting teenage boys in the bollocks and stuff like that, and raping people with iron bars. It's not a game.
Yeah.
Right.
I see your.
They approach
I'd
it
like
without honor, without any rules. There are no rules. No rules of international conflict
Law.
apply to Israel. So he's right about that.
Yeah, you make a compelling point.
But he's framing it to shit on us for just being fools.
Well,
and
that's what
around.
I was going to say. Yeah. So he's using it as like a blood libel against us, essentially, by being like, all wars are because you guys can't stop dick measuring.
Wait. There's the gamesomeness of Gentile society and that wars are our fault or whatever. Those are a little separate. I agree. It's a separate point that he's making. But yeah, he does go on to say that we're warmongering as if Jewish Telegram, early Reuters and stuff were not responsible for actually making World War I happen.
Yeah.
Not to mention every other war.
Yeah. They put up the money for them all.
Right.
Yeah. They put up the money for the Norman fucking conquest, and I'm still.
I was just going to say, in Ivanhoe, it's sort of characterized as like these kings get these ideas to have these wars where they're conquering other, Gentile kingdoms or whatever. They could never do it without the financing of that fucking Isaac guy. You know what I mean? People like that. So, like, at the same way, it is a causal relationship as well. But my point is, and you're right, Romanized Visigoth, is that what he's doing is like a Larry David thing where he's reeling you in by being like, hey, haven't you noticed the sort of elevation of sport within your society? Can't you agree with me on that? And you do. And then the next breath he goes, and that's why you guys cause all the wars. It's a very subtle thing he's doing.
Well, yeah, I'm not even sure he sort of says that, but I think it's true in the sense that if we were different and Jews wanted to induce, like, kind of push towards a war for profitability or for whatever reason that they do, the exact way they would go about it would have to be different.
Yeah.
In that sense, like they appeal to, hey, that guy over there called you a dork. He said he said that you couldn't beat him in a fight, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. A Gentile will actually, and a black person, forget about it. I mean, if you say, hey, that guy said nigger over there, like he'll just attack the guy without even
knowing if that was true or not.
Whereas a Jew they'd be like, what do you like? It's not even relevant whether he could win in a fist fight because that's not they don't think that's valuable to have physical strength. So it doesn't insult them to say they don't have physical strength. They just kind of realize maybe sometimes they have to pretend like they care about that to avoid like uncanny.
Uncanny valleyness.
Yeah. But like they don't actually care. Like you could never goad a Jew, let's say I'm at the front of an army and a Jew's at the front of an army. I could never goad a Jew into doing single combat with me to decide the battle.
Perfect example, by the way, is that time recently where that guy with like clearly prison tattoos with swastikas on his back on the cruise ship on the Norwegian cruise lines. This is a video from like 2 weeks ago. And a Jewish guy goes ape shit on him and is screaming in his face like he wants to fight, but ultimately he's actually trying to get the tiny like brown woman to get the authorities to come and like discipline him in some unspecified manner for not like having the gall.
Make him walk the plank.
Yeah, put him in the jail. And then, by the way, his girlfriend or wife or his little Jewish ball of a woman who was with him was going like, Bernie, I'm just saying it's Bernie. I don't know if it's Bernie. Calm down. You're going to get in trouble and go to prison. And he goes, me go to prison? Like, it's just not even he doesn't even think to himself that by causing a fucking huge scene and screaming and knocking shit over that he could ever have repercussions for this because I'm a Jew and he's got a swastika. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, very funny, interesting, like a little piece of anthropology we find in viral videos today.
Yeah, they're fun. Anyway, I got to go get ready for work.
Have a nice day of work, William. Thank you for joining us for this time. And
peace out.
Yeah, toodaloo.
Yeah, toodle pip. And all the toodle.
So but to this point though, why don't you have a lot more thoughts on this chapter than I do, because again, I'm like kind of a little pussy. I never got into competition and I'm kind of a submissive guy, honestly. So I feel like you have a lot more pointed takes on the sporting thing. But again, he does sort of use it. I can't disagree with its overall thesis, which is to say that gamesmanship or more importantly, just like rules and protocols are central to Gentile life. And this even me being a submissive pussy guy, I have strong moral compunctions as they relate to protocols and like different punctilios, to borrow his word, and like different cultural and moral what's shibboleths, you know what I mean, like
Yeah. Can you bring up some of those graphics of those ancestry things I sent you?
Love to. I have it almost ready, in fact.
I do disagree with him in the sense that he can't see it from the other side, and to a certain extent I can't see it from his side.
Yep.
I think I'm doing a little bit better because I have the benefit of having seen his book, you know,
Yeah.
and his thoughts about it. But yeah, I sent you these because
This is Scottish, by the way.
yeah. It's like now we're gonna get like Williams left, so like my autism will double. Or how many times does the Grinch's heart grow when he hears the
7 times, I
yeah
think.
7 yeah my autisticness will grow 7 times like the Grinch's heart. And so I just want to point out, so it's not a question of which race or bioculture has rules and which doesn't, unless you're talking about something like blacks. But if you're talking about like two peoples that are beyond the Stone Age,
Right.
then it's what are the rules, you know, and or what things are valued and what things are, from my perspective. So I'm a biologist. What things are selected for in that bioculture dictates the rules and the protocols, even down to things like manners,
Right.
but you know, things like war. And so this little breakdown, she said it's Scottish. It's just a representation of Northern European.
Average European. Northern European.
So the average European is about something between 40 to high 50%. It's listed here as Yamnaya. It's Indo-European or steppe herder.
Yeah, they don't like that word anymore because I think there's like some Aryan connotation, I think, right?
I think what it is it's too detail oriented if somebody cares about this, but there's different names for different tribes, and there's like Yamnaya is not all Indo-Europeans. There's like other, but they're all related.
But it becomes a catch-all term in some circles.
The same as Aryan. I actually think the Aryan was more specifically used for the Iranian,
the ones who went to India.
The ones who ended up in Iran, and they kind of didn't. I don't think all of the Proto-Indo-Europeans called themselves like Irianya or whatever the Proto-Indo-European word was.
No, that seems insane to think that.
But I think they actually, I was trying to find the best word for the Proto-Indo-European culture, and I found something that's like a lot like Teuton. But then you can't use that because now that's associated with German. But they had something like Tuathon or something for like relative.
Chthonic.
Anyway, so just real quick, in percentages, so in ascending percentages, starting with the lowest percentage, and there's a really good Kevin McDonald lecture on this, on the different waves of people that became European. So first there were the hunter-gatherers that came from doesn't matter where, and you know, like Cheddar Man and all that shit.
Yeah, yep.
And they did, you know, probably have much darker skin than we do. They probably had mixed eyes. Blue eyes evolved a few times, so it evolved in the different, probably a few different areas of hunter-gatherer, Stone Age Europeans.
These are the guys who made all the paintings in Spain, right? Like the paintings in the caves in Spain, right?
Yeah, yeah. So these are people like sharpened sticks as spears, some stone implements. And then so that was the first wave, and then they spread basically everywhere in Europe, and they hunted megafauna. And this, for reasons
like mammoths.
Rather obvious, this actually selects for spatial intelligence much more than hunting and gathering in Africa.
Yeah.
But anyway, then the second wave was what
higher risk, higher reward.
Right. Well, just you can't like persistence hunt a woolly mammoth. There's certain types of hunting that don't require intelligence in Africa. It's a whole.
Yeah, they just follow walking behind something forever and ever, and that's just humans evolved to be a little bit more, have more what do you call it, like stamina, as it were. But the hunter gatherers, I understand, they would like engineer situations that they could then utilize to kill a mammoth. For instance, they would use their spears to like guide a mammoth towards a cliff and get him to fall off the cliff. And this involves, at the time, a lot of problem solving and, as you said, spatial awareness, spatial intelligence.
Yeah, spatio-oriented intelligence. Yeah, the same thing as like battlefield rifling, essentially. Which is why like a white army with rifles will never lose to a black army with rifles of equal size, or even if
maybe once in 1911 to the Japanese.
Well, the Japanese have.
I know they had their finger pressed on their side of the scale by the English Jews too.
They have spatial intelligence. They have. That's why they're honorary
Aryans. Yeah, I was just gonna say it. Yeah.
So the second wave of peoples But as far as verbal intelligence, these hunter-gatherers would be profoundly retarded compared to what we consider today. But their spatial intelligence would be lower than ours, but
Pretty
respectable. And then the farmers from what's present-day Turkey, Anatolian Neolithic farmers. So Neolithic, new tools.
37% in the Scottish, by the way,
Right.
for
So
those audio listeners.
Oh yeah, sorry. So I guess I should have mentioned just in Northern Europeans, it's let's just say about 50% of the steppe herder, and then anything from in extreme northern like Scandinavia, close to a 50-50 between the Neolithic farmers and the hunter-gatherers, and then certain parts of Europe, single digits hunter-gatherer and like
Right.
high double digits Neolithic farmer and low steppe herder. So those are the peoples that are the least Indo-European, like Sardinians or Sicilians.
Right.
And this is before the Moors did fucking. This is like
During the Etruscans, they were still different. During the Etruscan, yeah.
Yeah. So because Western civilization is more of the Northwestern genotype anyway. Classical is more of the higher Anatolian Neolithic farmer type with Indo-European culture still within it and some of those genetics. Anyway, so the farmers come in.
And can I just pause to say the farmer, it represents the farmer culture, the Anatolian farmer culture represents a shift in the intelligence to have much longer time preference, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, they definitely boosted the IQ, and there was a synergy there because they, in some places, of course, this is really hard to know. It's even hard to know the percentages exactly because this figure here says 37% Anatolian Neolithic farmer. He may mean early European farmer, which is a mixture of Neolithic farmer and hunter-gatherer because there's so many more samples of that than the pure unmixed, completely unmixed Neolithic farmer coming in in different places, right? Because they come in and then they make their way, just as the hunter-gatherers did thousands of years before them, all the way up to like Ireland, right? All the way to the northern west, most part of Europe. Right.
There's a major genetic link between like all the way over in Greece that same the Celts are all like a contiguous. That's an ethnic designation, Celts.
Well, yeah, that's after that's thousands of years later. So,
definitely, but I'm saying that I could see how that could be given that knowledge I have. Yeah.
So the farmers come in some places they peacefully coexist for a while, in some places they, clash right away. Eventually things happen in different areas where the segregation of these two populations collapse and it just becomes a pie chart of two rather than the one that we're looking at of three. So depending on where you are.
Skip to the other ones. Yeah, let's hang on. Oh, that's not the right one.
that's Pete,
the guy from
Pete's Club.
Yeah, the black guy.
Pete's black
the token
gentleman.
Black guy in Old Glory Hole.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this one is French. So it's still 3, but you can see it's more 50-50 as you were saying.
Yeah, this one is like what mine is, like
43,
a 50-50.
43 Anatolian and Proto-Indo-European, and then 14% Western hunter-gatherer.
Yeah. So this is like a Western, really like a more indicative, like all of the continent is kind of like this. And okay, so the farmers come in and then they become a population, and then the Indo-Europeans come in and they just sort of wreck everybody. They were a particular group of Eastern hunter-gatherers that learned how to do animal agriculture and started and they had chariots and domesticated horses and big herds, and they developed a very advanced social structure, a sort of meritocratic / ethnic, like you could kind of slide between tribes a little bit. So it was like how white people are now. Like, okay, I'm a Frenchman or whatever, but it's not the end of the world for me to marry an English woman or whatever.
Right.
Because we understand, that's kind of
There's
like
a commonality between us.
Yeah. It's like a clan. It's not clannishness, but it's a racial, like a broader clan, I guess. And so they brought more advanced ways of war. And because they lived with in proximity to animals. This is why we wrecked the American Indians so bad. This is where our superior immune system came from, because thousands of years living in close proximity to relatively related mammals um,
will
removed.
cause more genetic or epidemics and stuff,
Yeah, so all the people that
which
did not.
bottlenecks the
Right.
genetics of the people who survive it. Yeah.
Right. So their immune system. So a lot of they became like, 50% or so of current Europe, maybe, if you count North and South, maybe more like 35% or something. A lot of it, it was fighting, and it was also probably, uncounted, unhistorically documented epidemics of disease that wiped out some of the locals, just like what happened with the American Indians when we went there. Uh, and then
Not to interrupt you, but I also want to say that to your point of us why we fucked up the Indians so bad is they did not have the vocabulary. They did not see other Indians as being like them. They were not able to go, let's just work together, guys. It happened maybe once or twice, and once in Massachusetts, and they got the shit stomped out of them, by the way. But they would not do the thing that we're exactly talking about by becoming a conglomerate of European genetics, essentially. They were so against that for whatever reason. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's probably what would have happened if Europe had stayed hunter gatherer with no farmer
Yeah.
and no steppe herder influence, and somebody
They
with
were hunter gatherers. Yeah, actually, they
right.
were farmers too, particularly in the Northeast as out of necessity. But they had a nomadic way of farming, as opposed to, I'm assuming that European Neolithic farmers were somewhat stationary.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, so basically this, and so here is your European now, and it's just a matter of which percentages of these three groups, with occasional like Ibero-Eurasian or whatever, like for the different Basque, the kind of different little, but you're basically what percentage steppe herder, Neolithic farmer, and pure hunter gatherer are you? Is that is European? That's white. So
Now let's go on to Sephardic Jew.
right. Yeah, so they also share a lot of the Jewish and like North African and all those places. They all have a lot of the Neolithic farmer, but also, as it shows, Levantine Neolithic farmer in addition to Anatolian. In this case, they have a lot of Yamnaya, 20%, which is high for the different Jewish groups. Some of them have
This is a
zero.
Sephardic specifically.
Yeah, yeah, because they probably are mixed with a little bit of the Spanish, which is why they have the Ibero-Maurasian.
Yeah.
Extremely small Western hunter-gatherer, less than 1%. A little bit of Caucasian hunter-gatherer, which is what you get from the more Eastern Caucasus peoples. Like if you went to Georgia, they would have less Western hunter-gatherer and more, obviously, right? Because that's the Caucasus.
Yeah. Or Russians, I guess, would probably have more too.
Yeah, it depends what
I'm
part
guessing.
of Russia.
I don't know. That's based on a hunch.
The part of Russia that's like in Europe is really basically, in terms of this racial categorization, the same as Western Europe.
Oh, okay.
But as you get south and east, it changes. So yeah, you can just scroll through these. What was the next one?
The next one is Anglo-Saxon. So this is the 50% Proto-Indo-European steppe herder, 32% Anatolian Neolithic farmer, and 16, a little bit more of a higher representation of Western hunter-gatherer. But I think, again, that speaks to the idea that they were an early settlement of the spread of the Homo sapiens, hunter-gatherers in Europe, I would guess.
Yeah, well, they're just an example of Germanic peoples, which tend to have higher. They all have high Yamnaya, and they all have pretty high hunter-gatherer compared to, like, depending what part of Celtic peoples, but in Southern Europe, they have a little bit less. Because all Germanic peoples came from Scandinavia and just moved. So
yeah,
it's basically like Scandinavian plus whatever mixing along the way.
right.
And then we can kind of just jump to the next Jewish one. I mean,
Next
I have
one
a lot
is
of.
this is Ashkenazi. Finally, this is the
But
biggie.
I'm still surprised that they have so much Yamnaya. The reason why is because it was relatively recently it was found out that actually Ashkenazi Jews have way more Italian DNA, regardless of how many generations their families were in either Germany or Poland.
Corey Hughes vindicated.
Right. So, but they're bringing all of this. He's 0.8% Han. I mean, they're just
That's crazy, right? Like,
true cosmopolitans.
yeah, rootless.
This, it's like what's his name?
A lot of Iranian. I guess somewhat ironically.
Yeah, ironically. Levantine. So it's the same thing. So the point I'm making here, just to,
Put the fine point
got
on
all these numbers. It's a ton of these farmer genetics. It really, really high. Very, very. If you look at like hunter gatherer, it's in the single digits, usually for these types of groups. And so, what am I saying here? Well, the reason why white people, Gentiles, as Samuel says, are into sports is because in our history, we hunted megafauna not that long ago, and we valued the cooperation and competition, the cooperation in the hunt, whether it's with spears or bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And then eventually with war, the cooperation
Right.
and the competition. So that's what sport is, right? It's different units of, and the idea of the rules.
It's hero making almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's mimicking, football is meant to mimic battlefield tactics.
Of course, yeah.
They're all meant to select for something, right? Baseball, you could say, like, not exactly spear throwing, but, you're throwing something.
Spear chucking.
Yeah, spear chucking, which is funny that, like, black people prefer the basketball. But, and what they're doing is they're ritualizing the selection for a high-quality nervous system and muscular system, which is valued in our culture very highly.
True.
For good or bad, right? Like, for example, the looks maxing thing would be a negative.
I was just going to say, though, the introduction of Jewish influence on culture has, like, sort of diminished that somewhat, if anything.
A little bit. I mean, there was that thing in the aughts, like the rise of the nerd, with Comic-Con and everything, and it was cool to be a nerd and to be like a skinny guy in skinny jeans.
Skinny hipster,
watching anime. But this will never last ultimately because it's just the
trying to
genetics
suppress something that's innate to the Gentile world.
So when we are into and why do sports have rules? Because it's not just some random thing. Like why are the rules what they are? Like, for example, my sport, right, MMA. Why is it against the rules to grab the fence to prevent a takedown? Right? Why, like, and there's a few other rules like that. The reason why is because when you sit down and think about it, well, what's the skill in that? Grabbing the fence, right? This is just anybody can grab the fence. Like a little kid who doesn't want to go home from the basketball court and their parents can grab the fence, and the parents pulling them and they're just holding on. Because the sport is meant to test the innate and trained physical abilities and skills of the athletes against each other. It's not meant to test who wins at any cost, which is the Jewish morality.
Yeah, true.
To Jews, there is no, he didn't take me down, and it's like, you grab the fence. Well, I mean, it's there to be grabbed. Why get rid of the fence then? If you don't, like, they wouldn't respect, or they, there's like a famous thing that a lot of Brazilians do in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is in gi jiu-jitsu, they'll tap inside the gi so that then you let go, but nobody saw it. Like the referee didn't see it.
That's
so,
very underhanded.
Right. And so why is that bad, right? Because you just you tricked your opponent into letting go of a submission hold that you couldn't get out of with skill or strength or whatever, right? Why is that wrong? Well, to Jews, that's not wrong. It's not wrong.
And he says it in the book.
Right. To us, it's wrong because we want to select for these qualities. We don't want to select for trickery. Why? Because the Indo-European way of life, the way they took over Europe, and many other places, their genetics go all the way into China, was with they had a certain level of meritocracy and fighting ability. If you're in a war and you train up your guys and certain people get whatever their version of officer positions, or certain, you have to do this, you have to perform like mixed arms attacks, you have to be able to perform. If you got there like an Indian H-1B with a made up degree, right, where you cheated on the test, when it comes time to fight,
immediately apparent,
and you'll lose, right? So if you didn't build up your force with some high degree, not perfect, nothing's perfect, of true meritocracy, where only people with the well-performing physical, nervous system and muscular system and their skills are there, selected for,
right?
Then you're going to win. If your selection is crappy, if it can be cheated easily, then you're going to lose. So for a people that do that kind of war, it's important to select for this. So the rules are important. And for Jews, so just to jump back more into the text, he says our rules aren't serious, whether it's manners, sports. He focuses on sports, I think correctly, because sports is the descendant of war game.
Yeah.
Prowess.
It's probably the most
analog.
one-to-one analogy we have that's still extant in our day-to-day life today to that.
Right. So I'll just try to grab from my notes here.
Feel free to read verbatim. I do it all the time.
What Samuel fails to realize, him and other Jews see white Gentile sports culture as unserious. There's an equal and opposite unserious, and we see in them. And you brought this up earlier. Mm-hmm. The cartoonish workarounds and the modern products designed to cheat or fool God is ridiculous to us. If you aren't supposed to use electronics or whatever the fuck it is on Saturday,
you just don't do it. Yeah.
Right. You're obviously
don't hire a black guy to do it.
You're obviously going against the spirit, right? You're going against the spirit. And that's what, let's say that it was just a gentleman's agreement and not a rule on paper about grabbing the fence in MMA.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then you do it, and then obviously that's going against the spirit, right? Everybody kind of accepts, like, look, either you can defend the takedown this way using your body without getting your fingers intermingled in the metal links of the fence, or you can't, right? And it's the same thing with their rules. So, but what are our rules training us to do, right? It's to perform in the physical material world. And I would say the descendant of all of this, all the way back from mammoth hunting to today, is our ability for things that require abstract 3D, imagine the apple, rotate the apple.
Yes.
Engineering, tinkerers in their basement, inventing things that became extremely important. As I said, rifling.
I'm thinking of Henry Ford, who has zero education. He invented his first motor to plow his own family fields by just inspecting the way that other people hodgepodge their own shit together. You know what I mean? Right. And it's just first principles of how he understands these things to work. And he worked out, and he ended up making the biggest car company in the world, and being really right about the Jews, by the way.
Exactly. And so Jews would never do that, because to them, basically they don't have the parts of the brain that can 3D model, oh, look at this motor. I'm going to rotate it in my hand. I'm going to imagine how it could be differently. Then I'm going to test that. And then I'm going to imagine how it can be differently. These are things that we got from our ancestors having very difficult lives, in having to, this mammoth, it's right in the name, right? The thing is much bigger than you. You can't beat it. In any, even with certain weapons, you still have to, you know, like you said, get it into a situation. You have to put it in a situation, to quote Sandbod.
Put him in a self-defense situation.
Yes.
Against a mammoth, like Lena Dunham, by the way. I think was the original example.
Yeah, you have to, in an alleyway, in a back alley. You have to engineer the situation, right?
Yeah.
And so this has stuck with us subconsciously, completely unconsciously, except for perhaps in certain intellectuals that know this or rediscovered it or whatever.
Or physical scientists who actually use the principles daily.
Right. But I just the idea that this is actually like a lineage of ability.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, air combat, right? There are races that can't, like the Saudis need us to fly certain sorties for them because they don't have the neural hardware to.
There's calculus a fighter pilot needs to do in his head, like while he's flying the plane.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also to bring Spengler into it, which I'm going to obviously later because that's my thing. Other than biology, is perspective painting. Western perspective painting is also an example of like calculus on the go because there's a logarithmic equation at the vanishing point, to the foreground of the painting into the vanishing point, and how the things have to scale. And if you don't do it right, it's not a good painting.
Right.
And the true masters had the ability to just see it like in a Will Hunting way, right? In a math genius way.
There's no mistake that one of the most famous, earliest examples and most famous perspective paintings is that one of Socrates and Plato walking into the whatever, and it's by, who guessed it? The guy who fucking painted it, Da Vinci, was a fucking mathematician. It makes sense that he didn't have the word calculus because it was termed originally by what's his name, Goethe or somebody. No, Newton invented it first, but Goethe, I think, is the one who notated it first. So yeah, regardless, they made it up at the same time. But the point is that Da Vinci didn't have the word calculus, but he was doing fucking calculus like when he made this shit, you know?
Right. So yeah, so what that is the root. So from my biological perspective, that is the root cause of our cultural expressions. So the way we, you know, it's based on that we have selected and concentrated certain traits, and this comes out in everything. And it has to, even if we take on a religion, like, you know, in the case of Christianity, it gets changed by us. Like we were talking about before, like if we just kind of gave Africans Christianity and walked away and then came back in 500 years, it would be different than European Christianity.
Well, it is. If you go there,
I mean, it already is, but it would be like more so. So we do things that try to require the use of muscles and system. Yeah. So in sports, you know, like, you know, even like car racing, it's kind of funny at this point, right? Because like he's like a Formula One, it's so technological. And at this point, you could probably have an AI drive it, you know? But we're never going to do that because who would fucking care?
Watch that. Yeah, who would watch that? Yeah.
But Jews, the way they see it is, who fucking cares if you've got a sub 200 millisecond response time, and you can see ahead of you 3 turns, you know, which is another expression of this high spatio orientation to intelligence.
Yeah.
Who cares about that, right? To them, that's irrelevant. To us, it would be irrelevant if a robot did it. Maybe to a computer programmer, it would be relevant because, oh, look how smart I am. I was able to develop.
True, but that is still him using systems in order to show his dick as being big.
But so,
which is a Gentile impulse.
So so we don't want our system to be cheated, and because it's training us for what we do. Whereas Jews, you know, when they have like this Talmudic workarounds for their kosher laws, you know, they're training their people for what they do, which is lying, cheat, word games, tricking the other person, the you know, like what everything, like we've seen it so much online, like the, you know, oh, I'm gonna work with your right wing group, and then before you know it, right,
It fell for it again award. They promised the world to the Trump supporters and the plan trusters, and many people made lots of money grifting off of this, by the way. Not going to name names. And then turns around, and then look, what do we fucking have? We have Iran war. Just what me, who at first principles say, don't work with them. It's fucking stupid. You're not going to get anything you want. They're going to get what they want. I was saying it all the way back in 2023. Trump will win and we will go to a war with Iran. And yet, where are we now? What are the plan trusters saying? They're saying, well, you got to understand there's different, you know what I mean? They're just doing a fucking word salad. And I'm just saying, I was right. I had first principles to know that's not what you do.
Right. So because we actually can't defeat them on the battleground of lying.
Yeah, that's true. Because they're good at it.
Yeah. Or like being tricky, or like, oh, I'm going to manipulate, like I'm going to pretend like I'm helping you, but really I'm derailing your organization, or really I'm helping myself. Because we aren't trained to, in the same way that they can't beat us in, boxing or like a football game. I mean, imagine a team of Jews versus a team of Gentiles in like football or baseball.
Didn't they
or
just
something.
have this? And the Israelis get their shit pushed in during the World Baseball World Baseball Classic?
They always do, but I mean, I'm sure their team, they're picking like a lot of those people are probably like half Russian Jews. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like people with high European admixture. But the pure, I mean, it would be, like me versus Dave Portnoy in a foot race.
Or just the average, those like really dysgenic like Hasids that they're from like Williamsburg and shit. Like those guys, like I actually Dave Portnoy is an excellent example, because remember that video that went viral of him trying to nail something into his fence?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you don't even have the physical instrumentality to do like a mild arts and crafts project, dude. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether that was like a physical thing or just he's so work shy as a Jew that he's never used a hammer.
Yes.
Or both.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, it's both.
But yeah, so their whole thing, what they're serious about. So he's saying we're serious, you're not. But a lot of times, it's less popular now, but like 2 years ago, there was a lot of videos going around of these kosher products, and people are laughing about it. Non-Jews laugh about it. Like, this is a joke. Like, this is obviously, I mean, some of it doesn't even make sense, because the electricity thing, like, oh, this thing lets the electricity go through. Yeah, everything lets the electricity go through. The light switch lets the electricity doesn't stop coming to your house.
Yeah,
because
that's
the
not
light
how
switch
circuits
is
work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they just kind of like stupidly, because they don't even know how things work, because they don't care.
Yeah.
How things work, which gets into the science chapter and some of the other things.
But can I also just real quick to point out one of these products, these kosher products you're talking about, one that made me laugh a lot was like a light that it had like a plastic shield. So it was like a dome, like a tube, like a cylindrical light, like LED light, and it had a sheath that you would pull up or down to show
like an
the
opaque
light.
dimmer.
Yes, exactly. So they could say, hey, we're not using the lights, but actually functionally turn the light on and off. I mean, that's all you need to say. Like, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You don't think that's turning the light on?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's probably more technically, the coffee water boiler one was just total bullshit. That one is probably more. But again, it's like that story, the on Venus, Have We Got a Rabbi, that thing that I wanted to review with you.
We should do that someday. Yeah.
Yeah. That story goes into this too, because it's about kosher. They have this canned food, and it has some punctures in it from shipping, and so they can't use it. And the rule is, will a hair go into the puncture? If a hair can go into the puncture, then it's unclean. So what is this great rabbi? Oh, on Venus, we got a rabbi. He picks the kid with the thickest, wooliest hair and shows that doesn't go into the smallest puncture hole that he can find. And then he declares it rabbinically clean, the food. So because
Pack it up, everyone. We have a solution.
Because exactly. And to them, that's real. But to us, it's like, I mean, we
don't even just say it. It sounds ridiculous on his face. In fact, the author was kind of, I'm sure he was doing a little bit of a he funny, even though I'm sure the author was Jewish, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's like almost utilizing his own cultural shibboleth, to use a word again, that are humorous because he knows the person reading is going to go, well, that's fucking ridiculous.
Right. Well, they'll say it's ridiculous, but they're also like, oh, because from their perspective, their Seder dinner is ruined. These people, because they live on Venus, they can't get another shipment of kosher food.
Right.
So it's either this or they go hungry, actually. So from their perspective, he's a great man because he
made it kosher for them to do the thing. Yeah.
He allayed their anxiety about the kosher law and allowed them to eat. Right. So it's like, that's a good thing. But to us, it's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Test one of them for bacteria. That's how you tell if it's clean or not. Right.
True. Yeah. But they don't understand that kind of shit. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's games.
They don't care.
It's
right.
games that are goyish games about science and math and fucking biology.
So to us, that's a game. They're playing a game. All these.
Yeah. It does seem gameish to be like, haha, I'm fooled God.
It is a game. And it's this, but because in that game, they're selecting for basically their brain, their nervous system to do these trick rules, which is how
mental gymnastics.
It's their survival strategy as parasites. Oh, you have to let us in because of this. Let me, start arguing with me. And at the end of it, I'll have you convinced to let us in. And you think, oh, you're going to do the X, Y, and Z to us. No, we won't. Then they get in, they do it. Then there's another conversation where they explain why it's okay to have done X, Y, and Z. So the X, Y, and Z was the reason to not let them in. Now it's not a reason to kick them out. Later, it's a reason
Mott
to keep
and Bailey argumentation, they call it, right?
Right. So what I'm just saying is his thesis is it's just from his perspective, which is not really so much a fault. It's just he can't see. And maybe to be fair, like, I don't know how many of these products, obviously the electronic products were not invented at the time, but I don't know about that string thing.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but the wire around Brooklyn. Yeah.
But even if you watch like a Curb Your Enthusiasm, he goes to the rabbi about the 10-year cheat on my wife thing. Yeah. and he brings up Rebecca and says it's okay because of this biblical story. And then Larry, who's actually completely atheist, feels better about it. He's soothed. And this is what they do. That's the purpose, is that the rabbi justifies. They have a fierce feeling of justification in all the wrong things they do. Like, there's a rabbi, right as we're talking right now, there are dozens of rabbis explaining how it's just to blow up that school with the girls, to, you know what I mean, rape the Palestinian prisoners, all that stuff. And they're using this same,
self-deceptive logic.
They would grow up to become, or in this biblical story, this had to be done for blah, 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 and it makes the people, it's psychotherapy, so that they and they still, IDF soldiers still kill themselves a lot because they still have some.
Yeah, they're still humanity. Human beings on some level. Yeah, still, trauma is a thing that's doesn't not affect Jews as much as they like it, I'm sure, by the way. Because, I mean, not to get into a whole other rabbit hole, but I'm sure like a lot of Jewish uncles are unhappy that their nephews are experiencing traumatic responses to things that happen to them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they put themselves into a situation. Well, it's the same thing, actually. That's a good analogy to Europeans in war, because you could say nobody actually wants to be in the war.
Yeah.
Like, when it's actually happening and your buddy next to you gets blown up.
Yeah.
You don't want to be there.
You almost have a biological response to that happening.
However, people do look back on it fondly.
True.
They're in many cases, they do
such cases even.
Yeah, they do get their blood up about fighting. There is a euphoria in it. And I bet that when Jews do evil things, it's the same kind of thing. There's a part of them that realizes it, it would be better if I wasn't doing a TikTok in this blown up little girl's clothes and thinking it's funny, like her underwear, putting it on my head or something. Her body's in the next room.
Nasty. That's a real thing. If you guys didn't know.
Yeah. There's part of them, but there's a part of them that gets this thrill out of the
Transgressiveness of it.
yeah, triumphing over our enemies, fulfilling prophecy, whatever is in their head. And it's the same thing with war. And it's kind of like, that's life. Like there's things in life you have to do that are not comfortable. And you need to have a psychological, like this is why humans, right, and animals are different. Like animals just go on instinct. Humans have the psyche that can turn off.
They have no
instinct.
internal critique that could later make them feel shitty about something they did as an animal.
Or get them through it.
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So like an animal, like, there's like, I think,
they give up instead of psyching themselves up to break out of the bear trap, as humans can sometimes do.
Yeah. It kind of depends what the animal is and like what's happening in its nervous system at that time. But like they don't have a thing where they're like, okay, I mean, you get what I'm saying. They don't have abstract thoughts, so they don't need to deal with the consequences afterwards of having done something, and they don't have to justify to themselves doing something that goes against their instincts. They just follow their instincts, and that's all it is. And we have those same animal instincts, but then we have an extra layer, or perhaps multiple extra layers, that interact with these cultures. So we should just go through. I mean, the other chapters, like I said, are kind of.
I was
going to
say, let's jump to the next chapter because he kind of says the same shit in every chapter, but like let's address each one at its face.
Yeah. So he says Gentiles are essentially polytheistic, Jews are essentially monotheistic.
There's truth to this, especially Catholics are definitely fucking. There's something to this. Like
I'm 50-50 because I think Jews. I mean, they certainly see a certain like divinity in their prophets and in some of their higher rabbis. So, I'm not sure. But what I would say is if that's true, it's because their reality and, their training ground, like I was saying, how they train their nervous system for their survival strategy is from the book.
Yeah.
The text.
It's a singular thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a singular self-contained thing. It's one thing. It's an expression of their one people. Gentiles, on the other hand, their worldview is like nature, like the sight of the eagle, the strength of the lion. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where our gods come from, right? Like the power of the ocean and the lightning strike and all of these things. That's actually how we experience like the profound power. And so it's many different things. It's like different expressions. And, Indo-Europeans, they've always had an idea of like a one ultimate thing.
Yeah.
It's just they're not arrogant enough to say that's our tribal god.
It's reality
also.
shaping. Yeah.
I know. It's like, hey, our tribal god, our patron god is also actually just the over god. That's like the Jews thing because they're so arrogant.
I was saying this to you before, but but it's bears repeating a little bit in the episode. But like the early proselytizers of Christianity to what we call Gentiles now, the white Europeans, were consciously appealing to previously held theological concepts within European paganism. So I talked about this a couple episodes ago, but in the early grasps of Christianity, there was something called the Sibylline Oracles, which were collections of writings and stories that were directly equivocating aspects of the Gospels and also of books like Isaiah from the Old Testament, and utilizing that framework to show, hey, isn't this similar to stuff you guys have constructed in your head already?
Right.
So there's something to that idea, is that it took a little bit of grease to push the Christian framework onto the now willing to make the fertile ground with which Europeans were able to accept Christianity, which doesn't talk about them. It talks about people in the Levant. You know what I mean?
Right. Took a little bit of Greece and Greek.
Double pun there. I didn't even think of it, but you're right.
Oh, I have a note here. I was just checking. So I have notes in multiple places. Like I have a Word doc and I have a piece of paper, like a notebook. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to say that 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 Lonely Island song, "We like sports and we don't care who knows."
Yeah, I do actually. I haven't thought about that in years.
That's like Maurice Samuel, like talking about Gentiles. It's like we like sports and we don't care.
Those guys are Jews, for the record.
Yes,
by the way.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's literally like that. They're making fun of the exact same thing he's talking about. It's like if we made a song, we like
usury and we don't care who cares.
Yeah, we like textual argumentation and debate about fine points of usury. And actually, we do care who knows, because this
That's
is
true,
supposed to
yeah.
be hidden, like a hidden text. That's a difference also between our two cultures, is that one is open and one is closed.
That's true, yeah.
Because again, it has to, this is also biological. The Jewish genetics are based on, like he says, endogamy.
Keeping out stuff. Yeah. Well,
Right.
again, this is well discussed, but the idea behind there being a Jewish diet is so that they can't share tables with people who aren't like them,
Right.
and ergo keep their genetics firmly away from them and keep them outside of them.
Yeah, and this is such a ridiculous slander, because the European gene pool is so broad. The white gene pool, even if you just took like the country of Germany, which is a big country in Europe, but still,
Yeah, it's quite
you say,
large.
oh, they're all Germans. There is so much more genetic diversity amongst Germans than amongst probably all international Jews in the world that are like, say, 75% Jewish or more.
Bavarians are nothing like the guys who live in Berlin.
Right. I mean, there's
they
so much
are, but you know what
movement
I mean.
now. But like before the automobile,
Right.
and moving and stuff. Yeah. And the European culture is in a similar. It does take in peoples. Like it's of course all cultures. It's just a spectrum, right? How clannish are you? They accuse us of this pure, all the bullshit they say about Hitler. It's like he never said any of that shit. Like we need
Pure
to,
blonde hair, blue eyes stuff.
yeah, and it's like the idea that it's either a 0 or 100, right? Either you mix with like an Australian Aborigine who's not even fucking human, or or you only have like third cousins or closer, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
That's what Jews do. That's what Jews do.
That's actually what they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
third cousins.
And and then they occasionally have to bring in outside people, just because, like in the movie Midsummer, that's what actually talking about.
Yeah.
They occasionally have to bring in exogenous genes because they would just fucking die. I mean, they already do, and they have to have all kinds of therapies, some of their members, for these genetic conditions that they have. But yeah. So anyway, back to gods. There's a point in when he starts talking about this is also in Utopia. So gods in Utopia I consider kind of the same thing, because he talks about
Greek stuff, classicism stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but he talks about the biblical prophecies as Utopia, which is kind of the same thing as talking about their god. And he talks about Plato's Republic as our like Gentile version. Now, this is where he kind of fucks up, because like from a Spenglerian point of view, the classical civilization like isn't really like, yeah,
the same thing as what we call Western civilization today. Yeah, it's like it was ancient to the people that formed what we call Western civilization today. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it was a different culture. It was there's 3 culture civilizations thus far that have been formed by what we would know as white people, which is classical civilization of the Greeks and Romans and associated peoples, Western civilization, Northwestern Europe, Central Europe,
right? France, England, etc.
Yeah, from Milan to London, with a broad paint brush that captures Scandinavia and Spain, and Russian civilization, which is in Russia.
Yeah, I mean that's very Quiglian of you to identify them as separate.
Well, it's Spenglerian. That's what he said.
True.
So the Plato's Republic, but I mean, honestly, close enough. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just that's not exactly our ideal. Our ideal would be like, I mean, he brings up Kant later, but our ideal would be more like basically the Third Reich. In terms of utopia, would be like a Prussian socialist, progressive, like futuristic, but with respecting the traditions and things like that.
A fusion of our this is the thing, he does sort of correctly identify it. It's a fusion of this nature of competition and meritocracy, but also humanitarian care and wanting the best for people who have less than you. That would be the perfect fusion, utopian fusion of European culture. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, well, Western culture.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Not Russian. Yeah.
So, But at any rate, so he's this is basically a continuation of the Gods and Sports chapter. But if what he does say about Plato's Republic, it clearly he's talking about a city that selects for what I was just talking about, right? Like,
Yeah.
because what it is, it's physical, graceful bodies in competition, arts, dancing. These are all things, being able to paint and sing and dance, play instruments, fight, do athletics. These are all things that it select for a well-functioning nervous system. In the same way, I mean, how do Africans do it, right? Twerking. Like they don't, seriously, like how do they assess quality in the nervous system of a mate? It's the ability to do that rhythmic black dancing that we all know.
Yeah, which mimics the coital act.
Yes. Yeah. It's just with like additional flourishes for style.
A little bit of rhythm.
and that's how they do it. That's actually how they do it. And the only reason we don't do it that way is because we came up with these other ways.
Also, we are attractive.
Right. Well, there's also just
faces.
outside of the physical traits, which is, there's analogs, right? I mean, you can tell what an athlete looks like just by looking at them for the most part. You can see. Even if the guy's not trained, even if he's skinny, you can kind of tell this guy could be an athlete,
Definitely. Yeah. You could see like the musculature and even if it's not a lot, you can
see the skeletal
like,
system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Plato's Republic, even though it's not exactly Western, it is Indo-European, and it does select for the traits that you master.
The things that he's at least highlighting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and what is the Jewish utopia that he says like one world, unity and all this stuff? He's basically talking about like these, kind of old school conspiracy theories, like one world government.
Yeah, and out of one side of his mouth, he's saying that's our ideal, and then the other side, he says, "Isn't it terrible that people believe the learned elders of Zion?" Like, you know what I mean? Like literally, like, bro, do you not see contradiction between? Don't you at least see tension between these two ideas, sir?
Right. So it's like total. They're, and then he reads some passages from the Republic and from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Old Testament specifically.
Yeah. Well, when I say the Bible in this context, I'm talking about the Torah because that's what he means.
Yeah.
And there's the one, the famous one. I have this one highlighted. In that day, there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and Assyria will come into Egypt, and Egypt, blah blah blah. Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians.
Yeah, and then those will beat their plows into their swords into plowshares, and there'll be no more war.
Right. The word
sounds great, by the way.
Egypt and Assyria, the work of my hands is your. But what are they really talking about? Well, what they're talking about is this future
domination.
Where everybody's going to serve the Jews.
Yeah, a Davidic kingdom.
Literally,
that's what they think is a Davidic kingdom that rules over the entire planet, as is stated in the theology of Isaiah, which is the idea that their God is the reality creator.
Right. I mean, because imagine if the Egyptians wrote, and on that day there will be a highway where the Jews come to Egypt. What the fuck are they talking about, right? Enslaving the Jews, which they probably never even did.
No, historically speaking, they didn't. They were they cohabitated in areas.
They taxed them probably.
That is what's in the book too. For the record, they call slavery the fact that they had to pay a land tax essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then he says, we created our gods in our image, but it's pretty clear they created their God in their image,
Yeah. I don't think there's one that's more anthropomorphically them, or that's more or anthropomorphically accurate to the people that it supposedly represents. It's jealous. In the Old Testament, specifically, what they consider again, not the New Testament, because that's what throws all that shit in its head, by the way. But in the Old Testament, God is jealous. He's a fucking vengeful cunt. He wants to exterminate everyone who doesn't do exactly what he wants. And is fucking vindictive in ways. Job is one of my favorite books for the Christian interpretation, I should say. But the Jewish interpretation of Job is the devil or another angel. His name is Satan. Says, "Hey God, I bet your strongest soldier Job is actually a fucking piece of shit. We should test him." And God's like, "We should test him." You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's the guy who we're talking about here. That Samuel is talking about. I mean,
right. So He actually, now that I think of it, Samuel even says later, he says, our God, we never think twice about it. Our God is Jewish. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, he's Jewish. So obviously, they created him because, I mean, right. I mean, this is right. I mean, the Jewish God exists on earth because the Jewish people exist on earth. It's like if they
Yes.
disappeared, Yahweh wouldn't be here.
Yes.
He's them. He's here with them.
Hmm.
Um, Either he wouldn't be here or he would have no further interest on earth. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's here to work through them, and that's it. So how is that even universal? Uh,
The universality is, as you said before, it's the submission of the entire planet to them.
right. So his goals, their God, his goals are all about them. And does he have any independent activities? So as whatever you want to say about, Greek polytheism, whatever, their gods have like their own thing. And the human world is just one thing they do. It's like their
Yeah.
kind of main, I, I don't know what an analogy for like immortal would be. It's like a video game or something, but it's like real, that obviously they interact. Like Zeus has relations physically with women and
Yeah.
children. So it's not,
Speaking from a Carlylean perspective, he has a lot to say about the pagan gods, by the way. And he says the pagan god, the process of the creation of the pagan gods is that of the same sort of mechanism that happens when we create heroes in our real, true, like physical world, essentially. And that it's a metaphysical version of that, essentially. So they do possess the characteristics that make us human because they are a what's the word I'm looking for, metaphysical expression of a myth of a probably likely true thing that happened.
right. And in the stories, they have an independent goals. There's
Yeah.
no independent goal of God outside of the Jewish people. So the whole thing is just solipsism.
Yes, I
Like
mean they're
there's
very
no
good at that.
there's no actions of their God outside of themselves. It's just completely, it's not like, oh, I'm off doing something else. You guys have to kind of like hold down the fort for a while. He's always there. All he cares about is them. Um, so I mean, and at one point he also says the psychological interpretation of myth or whatever is like a dishonest thing to do. He says that somewhere. I think when he's talking
Carl
about
Jung spinning in his grave, by the way.
yeah, he's talking about how the Jewish people were not free to choose God's law, but God was like, if you don't take it, I'll drop this rock on
Smash
you,
you,
this
yeah.
mountain. And he says, oh, by the way, it's wrong to psychologize that. And then he goes on to psychologize all of the Republic and all of Gentile religion, both pagan and Christian.
It's so
And
funny.
I mean, the whole book is
Is that? Yeah, literally.
largely psychologizing of things that he sees in us, including our myths. But and then he also, so he has one specific critique where Plato says, "Is it not of the greatest moment that the work of war should be well done?" And then Samuel says, "This in a vision of human perfection, for it never occurs to Plato that perfection in humanity precludes the possibility of war." And then he quoted something that I said, it's like, okay, but, and then he quoted the Torah, and many people shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountains of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we walk in his paths, and he shall judge the nations, rebuke many peoples, they shall be plowshares. A vision of the perfection of mankind. Oh, sorry. And the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of God as the water covers the seas. I'll pour my spirit into the flesh, sons and daughters, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids. In those days will I pour out my spirit. So he says Plato, it never occurs to him that the perfection of mankind in utopia would preclude war. Well, it never occurs to whoever wrote the Jewish Bible, this part, that the end times and utopia and perfection of the world precludes having servants and handmaids, like slaves, basically.
This
because
is so
it doesn't.
pointed. It doesn't, of course not. But the pointed thing about this for me is someone who has recently read that exact fucking quotation, which is from Isaiah, by the way, is that the Christian interpretation of that is Christ came to make even the servants and slaves, not slaves and servants anymore, because they're
Right.
equal to everyone else essentially. But no, that's not even in the fucking minds of Samuel's interpreting that clause. You
Well,
know what I
because
mean?
in their minds, they're dwelling in houses they didn't build.
Yes.
That's their promise. So obviously they're going to have slaves because they're eating food they didn't
How else?
grow.
Who would build the roads?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so the reason why Aryan utopias don't preclude fighting, but actually kind of prescribe it, and I used Valhalla, it's a place of constant fighting,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. They do that. I
is for
forgot
is
about
for the
that.
same reason that Jewish utopias don't preclude but prescribe slavery.
Yeah.
It's because yeah, it is true that the Indo-European culture does involve as a necessity conflict, tribal fighting and the sport competition that is a symbol of it as part of its bioculture in the same
Right.
way that the Jewish one, has this the Jewish supremacy as their promise, and whether they achieve it, I guess they're going for like through finance and private equity and usury now.
Hmm.
AI, total overlord, whatever.
Yeah. You shape reality itself by making the only way you can access historical records is through a Jewish gate kept portal.
Right. So you want to go on to loyalty?
Yeah.
So that
Loyalty. I
that
mean,
was
that one,
Utopia.
is that loyalty is is the last one before the final word, right?
No, no, no. This is still just chapter 5.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is that section that I said was the most fair. I mean, I'm kind of cutting into it, but when I first did my read through, I was like, "Oh, he's totally right." These are these differences, and what came to mind, of course, was these different, basically gene pools, and that they're just
Yeah.
like the morality of a lion is different than the morality of a gazelle,
Hmm.
right? For quite obvious
For
reasons.
obvious reasons. Yeah.
And the morality of a parasite is different than the morality of like a flower, because like one is
Right.
a producer and one is a pure consumer or whatever. Anyway, loyalty. This is where he really tells on them. And again, I want to reiterate that this was written in the 1920s when they were like, the way I would frame this is Jews are very much in the like with a car, you have like the idle the efficiency zone.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
power band, and then you get to the red zone, right?
Right.
And then at this point, they're ascending in power after World War One and going into World War Two. They're in the power band
Right.
of their ascension. So he is able to say certain things because this is actually a shit test to like coastal elite liberals, is what we would call them
Right.
now, that want to be cosmopolitan and say, oh, they feel guilty over the World War. They don't know exactly. I mean, some of
What
them,
the real machinations that were going on behind the scenes,
exactly. I
right?
mean,
They
there's
didn't understand
people
that.
like Lindbergh, et
Who
al.
did kind of know, yeah.
that were
And
saying these
Ford,
things, but they were completely the censorship, because they started controlling the newspapers, was extremely effective, back then, in a way that
yeah.
that we can see it breaking down now. So they were very much in their ascension. So there's a lot of things he writes in here that are he puts in a lot more honesty than he would have if they were at in the idle or like close to the stalling RPMs
Yeah.
of the band, or close to the red zone, which is where they are now.
Hmm.
They can't,
Yes, yeah,
as
you're right.
if they hit the gas any harder now, the
The whole engine
gas,
will explode. Yeah. Hit the gas. Yeah.
then yeah, the engine is starting to, but they're actually running in the red right now.
Big time. Big time.
So in loyalty, one thing that's funny that he says is criminality is associated with anti-Semitism, and he has this whole kind of convoluted explanation that I think is half true, which is that criminals require there to be law-abiding people that follow the norms so that they can
Yeah.
criminalize on them. And that's, yeah, okay. And he says, Jews are kind of like dissolvers of the social order, so that's actually that's a bigger enemy to criminals than the police, because the police are just trying to catch them, but the
Right.
Jews are trying to destroy the system for which is the platform of their predatory criminality.
I do think he's doing a little bit of a he's trying to again, you were saying this is sort of, he's made this case to like coastal, what we call coastal elites now, but he's saying you don't want to be like a filthy criminal, do you, Goy?
Right.
On some level, he's doing that.
Yeah. I mean, my counter would just be the reason why criminals got into this, especially at this time, is because this is when the Jews were taking over the mafia and they were like in the Money Kings, they were transitioning from, they were taking over the blue collar, I guess, crime, you could say, with like Murder Incorporated and the Meyer Lansky type mafia stuff. And then a little bit later, see, they didn't really start monopolizing white collar crime until like after World War II. So it was the criminals, because white collar criminals, or basically just capitalists and financiers, are not called criminals usually until they get caught and put in prison. But if you're a thief, even if you don't get caught, you're still called a criminal because it's a class issue, really.
Right. That's true, yeah.
So it was in blue collar crime that anti-Semitism, that's what he's talking about here. And it's because that's where they were being pushed out and...
Right. There was a tension between the Lucky Lucianos, who was like, yes, let's partner with the Jews. They have good networks for us to pass over our shit around the country and stuff like that. And versus there's probably other factions that we've now fallen away from history that we will never know because the Jews teamed up with the more brutal and violent elements of Italian crime in order to excise those guys who were saying, hey, maybe we should keep it our thing.
Right. Exactly. Yes. But then other than that, 'cause I thought that was just a little bit of a shell game, but he's basically honest that Jews don't have loyalty to all of our institutions. And what's funny is, this being read by...
I'm just learning this now.
Right. Yeah. I just read this yesterday. And, the cosmopolitan, like Judeo-philic elites that were competing to be more progressive than, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm a socialist, I'm a citizen
FDR,
of the world.
FDR comes to mind. He's completely surrounded himself with Jews.
Yeah. So this actually doesn't play well. This is an example of a chapter that doesn't play well now because they're on that downswing, like I said, or they're running in the red. It confirms basic anti-Semitic conspiracy stuff, which is they're not here to be with us in the sense, right? Yeah. Like, so, and
he's plainly saying, we're using your shit to get our own ends.
Exactly. And we're not mixing, because that's the thing with Indo-Europeans is they would have like fluid loyalties because it's like, okay, this is my tribe, but I'm going to join this band of young men and go to this other place and do it's like a raiding party or something.
It's literally the story of Genghis Khan, by the way.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was a steppe herder, just with much more Asian. And so, and then they would eventually settle down, in a new place, and then they'd have new neighbors and they would mix. And,
so not to jump ahead here, but at the end of the book, he goes like, if you really wanted to involve us in your shit, you'd let us intermarry with you. But from what you're saying here, and I tend to agree with it, it's like that's a feature of European ethnic expression. You know what I mean? The ability to absorb other extant things and synthesize them into the tribe, essentially.
Yeah, completely. Europeans, I mean,
you're
obviously
able to do it.
Yeah, they are. And it has, it had to do with like historical, geographic, biological things about
pressures and environmental pressures and stuff.
Where Europe is and all those things. And obviously we can tell the difference, right? In the same way that like there's a fuzzy border between red and orange, right, on the spectrum, but we know what red is and what orange is. Obviously, that doesn't mean we should airdrop the continent of Africa into Europe for mixing.
Yes.
But there was a process. We have done that process. We have actually done the process. The process is over. I mean, the process can continue within ourselves, but, we don't have, especially not from the fucking Jews.
Yeah.
We don't have any responsibility to absorb more peoples because they, because they don't absorb any peoples.
Yeah.
Except for like a few Gentile elites to get on, as one of their strategies. Everybody knows this, right? They kind of marry in with like, whether it's monarchy, royalty, or like Trump, is an example. The way they intermarry with certain elites and get these like half breeds that act as like the intermediaries between their interior onion layers of like the totally Jewish gross, like can't interact with Gentile people, like with their
The
hatcheries,
Williamsburg guys. Yeah,
have
the
like the 10
Williamsburg.
kids, and
Yeah.
or like that recent documentary, like
Oh
those
yeah,
people.
the Tyler Oliveira thing in New
Yeah, that's
Jersey.
the population that's the breadbasket, if you will, of their population center. Whereas the movers and shakers are the people, they only have one or two kids and they're intermarried. Sometimes they're 50%, whatever. Like, Scarlett Johansson, for example, she's still a beautiful woman. She's 50%, Norwegian.
And yeah, speaking in American statistics, Jews are the biggest miscegenators. Because they're the liberal, non-fucking breadbasket type you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they're both. That's the thing. They have an onion layer. They have a layer that is extremely exogamous.
Papery. And you can just peel it away to where the inbred fucking unibrow kind are dwelling.
Whereas like, so when you look at Jewish genetics, it's like, if you put them all together in a pool, you're looking at like people that are just, like really, really inbred. Like that paper, remember that I sent you a while ago, that the entire Ashkenazi population was 300 individuals like 600 years ago or something.
Yeah, that was mind blowing. Yeah.
This is just like in a scientific journal. And then you've got like the outer layer, which is what we see all the time on the television and yada, yada. But
the Lonely Island.
Right. But yeah, in Indo-European and later actual European culture, I mean, the kings were always
Lonely Island, but it's actually about Epstein's Island.
Right. Yeah. Lonely little St. James. Women, like daughters were sent to different, you know what I mean? To like shore up alliances.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine Jews doing that. They would never do that.
They wouldn't do that.
There was fostering of children in different tribes, like this was just a normal thing. This is actually in Game of Thrones. If you read the books, like it talks about this, like why, Robert the King is so close friends with Ned. It's because Ned was like fostered with their family or something when he was a kid.
Right.
And that usually that often turns into mixing because, one of the if it's a boy being fostered there, he'll meet maybe one of
the Puritans. The Massachusetts Puritans did this thing called sending out. So when your kid turned like 12 to 14, you would send them to live with another family to learn a trade, essentially. And it was just a habitually thing they did. And like oftentimes those two families would then marry together.
Right. So this is why we have in our deep instincts multi-level loyalty schemes, I guess you could say, like multi-level
market, multi-level genetic or multi-level coupling.
So obviously there's family, right? Like nuclear family, extended family, and then there's your town, your state, your country, your specific ethnicity, right? Like Italian, French,
right?
Whatever. Your college, like he said, your company, your sports teams. Of course, they're all supposed to be white. I mean, the reason why people don't like sports ball, I kind of want to push back against like saying sports is dumb, because what I'm forwarding here is
it's dumb when we have to watch AIDS commercials and it's all black guys playing.
Exactly, and also because it's obviously because it's run by Jews. It's not an expression of what it is supposed to be, which
genuine meritocracy. It's cherry picking all the best black athletes so they are on your TV screen.
Right. Yeah. And then it becomes this weird it's just like cuck thing. So there's there's a certain amount of stability in our gene pools and a certain amount of fluidity, and that is just innate in us. And that's why we don't have just one, because the Jewish people, they have one loyalty. That's it.
Right. It's monomaniacal.
Right. They're endogamic, and they're hostile to all non-Jewish outsiders. Their rules, as you said, the kosher rules are designed to maintain this distance. You remember what Nixon said? Like, they're born spies, or arrogant, and they're not loyal. It's funny. It's like he must have read You Gentiles, right?
He just interacted with a bunch, to be honest.
Who was the guy that he was talking to? It was that pastor?
It was Billy Graham.
Yeah, Billy, have you read this thing, You Gentiles? They say it right here. They're not loyal.
They're saying it right here in the book.
Yeah. And then they're like, shut it down, Watergate. So So when he says, a goy ends up at a random college and then he has to act like it's the best college, that's kind of true and silly, but that they're it shows
It's just
that
an
they're
exercise of something that's built into our brains already. Yeah.
yeah, and it proves that they're not here to work with us. They're purely extractive, like you said. They're here whether when they're at college, they're there to get a degree.
He says that. I didn't say it. He says it.
Yeah, he said you said that he said it, which he did.
Yeah.
They're not there to give anything back. And if they do, because they do have a lot of libraries named after them, it's for Jewish purposes, right? Like their philanthropy is not philanthropy; it's Jewish activism.
Larry David, remember he was pissed that he wrote his name on the wing of the NRDC or whatever, and then Ted Danson had donated the same amount but said anonymous, and he was pissed. He was pissed that he didn't think of doing the anonymous thing,
right. And you can see their end game, like I said in that documentary about what was it in New Jersey. That Tyler
Oliver. I don't remember the name of the documentary, but it's like the Hasids of northern New Jersey where they're all like scamming the government.
It's purely extractive. There's no civic engagement.
Yeah.
So if they were just left there by themselves, obviously it would turn into like an African style. Right. Yeah. The only reason that can be there is because there's goys in the next town over paying taxes, or there's some.
Well, that's the whole country. It's all federal, I think.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So when he says, "Oh, we don't have loyal," I mean, he just means we're only loyal to ourselves because we're serious about racial supremacy. That's what we're serious about. And then jump into discipline. The first thing this made me think of how, Jews aren't disciplined in the way you think of it. When I watched that movie Uncut Gems, it was like a hard watch for me because the scenes where they're in the Jewish trading areas, they're all yelling and talking over each other. I could tell that's where their nervous system thrives.
Yeah.
See, for me, it's I'm doing grappling or something, and I get kind of a thrill. I can feel like I'm using my body or like I'm lifting weights, and it feels good in the nervous system. To them, it's like that. It's so bizarre. They talking over each other and trying to get another couple dollars on this stupid thing.
Even though they're combatants or other Jews, it's worth mentioning. Yeah.
In some cases, yeah, but then they bring in that basketball player to try to scam him on some fake watches. So they say our discipline is goose step discipline. And their discipline is the discipline of they suffer through their kosher rules. Yeah. And remember I brought up the thing about the Sopranos scene where that Jew gets wailed on.
This is Where Are the Romans?
Yeah, Where Are the Romans? And they do actually, to give them their due, they do have the ability to suffer for their race. That's kind of their thing. They won't fight that well. Again,
irrespective of the physical realities of it, they have a tendency to turtle up and hopefully endure through the current unpleasantness, and then hopefully come out on the other side and do their thing.
Yeah, there was a video going around this week of where they hid from the Romans, and there was the tunnels that they crawled in to get into this place.
That was so funny. That was going around. Yeah,
it was and here in Brooklyn they were hiding from the Romans. But again,
you're looking at him, pal.
yeah, it's
the Italian cop who's cleaning out the fucking tunnels. You're looking at him, pal.
Mom Donnie.
Yeah.
And where are the Saracens? It's Mom Donnie. You look. But goose step discipline is, again, not to reiterate this too often, but it is a nervous system selection, right? To have a group of hundreds of men.
Physical instrumentality comes back into play. Yeah,
exactly. Jews can't and don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They see it as stupid. But yeah, he says that we see them as individual, they don't want to follow the rules. But it's really not that, because then he goes on to say, when we follow our own rules, we are the most blobby mass blob of people ever, united by this thing. It's actually
this
the European...
This thing of ours.
Yeah, this thing of ours. This thing of ours where we cut a hole in the sheet.
And suck babies' penises.
Yeah. It's like Epstein with his egg-shaped dick. This thing of mine. So, and this is where he writes that prayer where he said most of the prayers rededicate the people as a whole to God's service, as opposed to our prayers, which
are usually personal. Yeah, it's usually like, God, please help me.
Yeah.
Because I need you right now. Where I'm emphasizing the personal relationship we have between each other.
Well, that's evangelical mostly, but yes.
I think there's something of it in Orthodox Christianity as well. Like it's because it is a covenant you take with God yourself. Like it's not your people, it's you.
Right. So yeah, they praise God.
Maybe
for the burdens.
maybe the term personal relationship is in error, but you know what? You get what I'm saying. It's a 1-to-1 thing.
Yeah, you can be in covenant and you don't need like a people. Like you could be a singular, like
two Christians together. I think there's actually a quote in the Gospels, not to get all gospel-y here, but it's like, when two of you are together, I am amongst you.
Right. Whereas there's certain Jewish prayers that actually require like 10.
It's
guys.
Called a minyan.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious fucking word for it, by the way. But yeah, they have to. I think it's 8. Actually, no, it's 11. It's 11. It's 11. It's got to be. Of course, it's a fucking esoteric number.
So they praise God for the burdens he placed on them with passionate iteration. They thank him for having made us different from you. And to me, that's the center. This is like basically the center of the book. And I think you really have to interpret everything that way. How hateful is that? You know, like, oh, we are so happy to have these burdens to not be like animals, basically. And then he goes on to say, this is another kind of howler, like where he tells on himself, where he's talking about Jewish universalism, whereas they're the most clannish of peoples. He actually says that we're the most clannish of peoples. We're also the most universalist. And he says, nor do I see any contradiction between this fierce insistence on separate national existence, racial, and our dedication to a universal idea. We believe and feel that for such an ideal, we alone as a people possess the especial aptitude. And then I skipped a sentence. We shall not further that ideal by losing our identity. To mingle with you and be lost in you would mean to destroy the aptitude forever.
I think that's true.
But listen to what he's saying. He's saying, in order for the world to mix up and mongrelize, there needs to be a Jewish, racially pure managing class to manage that. Yeah, and if we take part in that, if we take part in that mixing, then we're not going to be able to facilitate this mixing anymore, and it could get out of hand. I mean, we need imagine like our aptitude. It's basically like saying, I'm on a work crew, and I have to manage all you guys cleaning out the toilets because I have a specific aptitude for telling you how to clean the toilets. And if I so much as fucking touch a toilet,
I won't be able to do that anymore.
I won't be able to do it anymore. And then the whole cleaning operation will collapse and we'll just be in the toilets. You know, there will just be shit everywhere. So actually, that's why I need to do none of the work, the hard work, the bad, like in this case, it's, or like, we all have to contribute to this town lottery to build a new town square. And I'm going to manage that. And I'm not going to give any of my money, because if I give any of my money, see, you guys all have to give your money. If I give any of my money to this project, that's going to mess with my impartiality in managing the dispersal of these funds that you give, you see, because now it's just going to fucking, basically you have to pay and I don't, and I have to actually control the thing.
And here's why.
Yeah. Here's why. Talmud.
Yeah.
That's all I have about that chapter. Then he goes on to what I call the wall text of
which comes off not dissimilar to like a red pill incel diatribe, but also that's not the point of it, but it comes off as that. It sort of presupposes that.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically
he's saying even if we wanted to mix in with you guys, we can't because you guys are too mean.
Yeah, he does say that. I mean, he goes through and he actually makes a lot of good points that would have like fit right in with like the skeptic community YouTube debates of 10 years ago.
Sargoy of Akkad.
Like how groups can or can't be considered a unit, or have collective blame. I mean, he really explains Jewish collective punishment here, which I am actually, I believe in collective punishment. I don't believe in it for like children.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I mean, I believe the Jews should be collectively punished, of course. But
We certainly should lose access to the things that are fucking us up right now. At very fucking least.
Yeah, collectively. Okay, so it's like, oh, this is from your point of view that there can't be a nation if it's not actually collectively punished. That's kind of true. I mean, what is a nation? It's like, what is a team? It's like if one person cheats on the team, or cheats in a game, you kind of have to punish like the
whole team, right? Because it fostered the culture with which they did that.
And also, like, I mean, how can you punish one player without punishing the team? Because if you take him out of the game, well, now they're down one player. He's no
longer there.
So it's like an inherent thing, right? But yeah, it's funny because this could easily be used against them now. Yeah, I was going to say you should read some of this, but that would probably take too long.
Yeah, we're probably wrapping up in the next.
Yeah. So I'll just
paraphrase it.
I mean, if you go to like page 130, that's where it starts, like you are unable to meet us on the spiritual level. Do you want to read that? You want me to read it real quick?
I did close the window, to be honest, just a second ago, by the way.
So I think this part's important, that you are unable to meet us on the spiritual level is made evident by the following. We are disturbing influence in your life, not through our own fault. This is a howler, actually. First, we are not in your midst by our own will, but through your action. It's like, first of all, dude, I mean, maybe Romans destroyed your shit, but like Germans didn't. I mean, what gives you the right?
They welcomed you in, bro.
Exactly. And second, which is more to the point, we do not attack you deliberately. That's a lie. We are unwelcome to you because we are what we are. That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
It is our own positive way of life, which clashes with yours.
That's bad.
Yeah. It is our own positive way of life, which clashes with yours. Now, that's true, but their positive way of life is to attack us deliberately. Yes. See, that's kind of the thing. But they don't see it that way.
No. Because of all the reasons he says in the book.
And like probably neurologically.
Yeah, true.
Like going and ripping off somebody on a product that they're selling that's like not worth what, all the things, right? The usury, the pornography,
and subverting of geopolitical things using blackmail and bribery and
yeah. So, and then he goes on to say, you're also a spiritual discomfort to us, but you bring the attack down to the physical plane where we are defenseless. You rob us, slay us, drive us from land to land, blah, 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 blah. That's all wailing wall text. But where he says you can't meet us on the spiritual plane, or that you have
cool
been
story,
unable to.
Schlo.
Well, I think this is correct because, Europeans never lost their sovereignty or really any kind of, again, you can point to like certain victories of Japan against Russia and stuff like that. Yeah. But in terms of like big global or like European territory in the modern age, or even in the like post-medieval, since
early modern era, they call it.
We haven't lost a kinetic fight with anybody that has diminished. It's only been intra-European wars where somebody loses territory or sovereignty.
True.
So, but we have lost it. And we've lost it because we were not prepared for or understood the spiritual battle that the Jews brought to us very intensely in the 20th century. But in all the centuries, kind of climaxing and now hopefully finishing, solutioning, final solutioning itself in the 21st century. But I would just point out, he says this, and they say this a lot, like, oh, you like sports, you're focused on the material, the Epstein, that email, let the Goyim focus on
live at the real world while we do the important stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. We can't. Yeah, it's like some guy who's like, I don't care about Jews because I just busted at work. I put in my 14 hours a day.
Yeah, but Jews know what you're doing. So it doesn't matter whether you did that or not. Yeah.
Not only that, but they control like the thing
the unit of exchange with which you just busted your ass for. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of the it's like if I'm like a biochemist and I've got a biofermenter and I'm making like something with the bacteria, and it's like the bacteria are like, "Man, I don't give a fuck about that scientist. I'm pumping out um,
It's
glycine."
glucose, yeah, in order with me
Yeah,
to fucking
I, in the
photosynthesize and eat.
what is it, the that Chinese glycine meme company, the Xinhua. There's a like Gaoshun Xinhua
This one's over
Gaolong.
my head, I'll be honest.
um, yeah, it's like obviously it doesn't matter about Donghua Jinlong. Donghua Jinlong. They're the best glycine.
I didn't know that. No.
They're
Oh,
certified.
they're not. That's the joke, I'm guessing.
No, I maybe they are. I don't know. It was just a meme, and you like I have like a T-shirt that says it. But the, you know, there if somebody's controlling the nodes of power, I mean, this is a pretty simple point, right? But they seized the nodes of power. They didn't come in like the Normans. Even if the Normans were funded by Jews, they still fought. They won some battles.
Yeah.
They took over the state. They administered the state towards their benefit. Pretty straight up, right? Indo-European shit.
Yes.
And there was some Jewish involvement, but right, the Jews never did that. We never lost a battle, as in white people as a whole, to them or to any of their proxies. We simply did a bunch of stuff, like the world wars and everything that kind of
right.
People
chase their own tails on their behalf.
Yeah. And so, if people say, oh, you know what we need to do? We need to like assassinate all the powerful Jews. It's like, I'm not going to say, obviously that's illegal. So you shouldn't do that because it's illegal to kill people. But to actually take back power, this has to be done like on the spiritual plane. This has to be done through like a consciousness raising activities of like discussions and perhaps even like art and literature and blah 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 blah. And it's being facilitated by them with these wars and stuff. And I would love, as we close this out, I would love if he could just be here. I see Maurice Samuel as like a worthy adversary, as worthy as a Jewish adversary can be. Like,
to that point, I mean, we learned from that video, which, by the way, I'm going to put that video in the Substack page. So you're not going to see it on the podcast version, but if you just go to the Substack page and check out, I'm going to put the audiobook of the book itself, which is hosted on YouTube, as well as this YouTube video. But to your point here, he really was considered amongst Jews a worthy fighter because he was Chaim Weizmann's right-hand man, essentially. Chaim Weizmann's the guy who we can really consider responsible for Israel. The World Zionist Organization is the group. But that's what I'm saying. So Samuels was such an exemplary Jew that Chaim Weizmann was like, you're my guy. He's Chaim Weizmann's top guy, essentially. But yes, to your point, though, he is a formidable adversary and a good person to clash in the battlefield of ideas with.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have this kind of guy rather than like a Ben Shapiro. I mean, come on, like
yeah, he's just lying. Yeah.
There's a few other. I'm just gonna run through my notes. I have a few quotes where he says, "We the destroyers." I was gonna have you read the famous line. Everybody can.
That's everywhere. In fact,
yeah.
You know what? Shouts out. Corey Hughes just did a reading of the Weird the Destroyers chapter in his podcast, Bloody History with Corey Hughes. So go listen to that. Free plug for him. He's a great friend of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to just quote a few things that are not that famous quote because everybody's heard that. In that same chapter, he says, "It is futile to tell him hands off. He is not his own master, but the servant of his life will." He's talking about the Jew. You cannot tell him, or you can, but it's futile to tell him hands off of destroying your institutions. Yeah. So he's saying this is an essential thing that they do. I mean, this is the reason he's giving you, like Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross. Yes. They're giving you, are you going to take it? These Jews, they're giving you the justification to expel them from power, at least, if not from, the country. Yeah. Are you man enough to take it?
Are you a bad enough dude to ban Jews from working in finance and in politics?
Yeah. Are you goy enough to take it?
Yeah.
For when he brings into your world his passionately earnest, sinisterly earnest righteousness. Sinisterly earnest righteousness. That's it. They're saying it's the most Jewish sentence ever written.
Yeah, they're calling it the most Jewish sentence ever written.
Absolute righteousness. And speaking in your language and through your institutions, scatters distrust of yourselves through the most sensitive of you. See, this is why intellectuals were the ones that got by Jews so badly. Myself, I mean, when I was a kid, I was basically anti-white. You know, I was like kind of like a college commie. It's because I was more sensitive than like the Hicks. You know, I grew up in a rural area and I was turned off by the anti-intellectualism.
I'm the exact opposite because I have defiant oppositional defiant disorder. So I was instantly like 4chan racism. Give me whatever you got, baby.
So yeah, the most sensitive of you, he is working against your spirit. You Gentiles do not seek or need or understand social justice as an ultimate ideal. This is not your nature. So he's playing to the Jew as this is before they made the flip into neocon, you know, when they were like, oh, we're the socialists.
The leftists,
yeah, the leftist
Which
Jews.
is the original Israel, by the way.
Exactly. And it's very funny to see these historical things charted, you know, immortalized in these works.
In his work, in his words, too.
The truest thing he writes in the whole book, which goes all the way back to the first, probably too much time I spent on the whole genetic thing and the Indo-European culture.
I thought it was interesting.
Philosophies do not remold natures.
Yeah, true.
So, you know, whether it's the Jewish, it doesn't matter whether it's philosophy or religion. We are going to express ourselves a certain way. And there is no, again, he says it himself, there is no reconciliation. He said the only possibility is that we mix in such a way that, kind of like that short story I wrote, the Harriet Bergeron, where everybody's like equal amounts of this, and this. So there's no difference. Everybody is like 10% this, 10% this, 10% whatever. Whatever it would have to be to absorb the current global gene pool so it's like 50% Chinese. But, you know, the Goy.
25% Indian.
Right. Yeah. That's going to be a stinky one.
Yeah.
He says that we need to mix, you know, such that in the future,
nobody's grandparent. You'll only be able to say my grandfather was Jewish at best.
Yeah, everybody is 5% Jewish. Everybody, or 10, or whatever it is, right? Everybody's 10%. It would
take like Cthulhu magic to do that.
Well, it would take thousands of years, or at least hundreds of years.
That is what it is. Yeah.
Like it happened in what we said, right? With the hunter gatherers, then the farmers, then the steppe herders. That happened. That happened to them. I mean, it's not perfectly distributed amongst all of Europe, but it was distributed, and in the pockets of Europe, it's fairly universally distributed. The percentages of those ancestry ingredients. Right. So let's see. The last thing I wrote: Jews despise the physical world. Indo-Europeans love the physical world. So that's like our nature. Jews see it as like an unimportant expression, kind of like the book. You know, the words in the book are first, like God spoke, right? And God spoke and created the world. Indo-Europeans actually see the physical world as like a living spiritual,
having primacy over any sort of intellectual thing,
right? And it's actually spiritual. Like the forest is actually spiritual. There's actually spiritual power in it, and that you learn things from. Samuel speaks so negatively about science because science, and to bring back Spengler into this, which I probably didn't use enough, so we're in Western civilization now, and science is a technic, and the Western and the civilization phase of culture civilizations is about techniques, whereas the culture phase is about art and religion.
Right.
So right now, Western civilization is focused on techniques, and unfortunately, Jews are steering where our techniques go. So right, instead of like space travel and actual like what would be our destiny,
it's reality shaping AI so they can forever have the Holocaust is the biggest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, and like bombing brown countries to get so that their women can go to college. Like universal Jewish rights for gays everywhere. You know, like Faustian infinity gay.
Trannies in Afghanistan.
Yeah, trannies in Afghanistan and on the moon. you know?
Yeah, tranny's on the moon. Like Whitey's on the moon.
Yeah, yeah. So science is the high culture version of, because he also says that, Jews don't like this thing, which really stood out to me, fixing things around the house, like putting up a shelf, like
Yeah,
fixing
they
stuff.
don't. They hire a goy to do it.
And I love that shit. Like when
I love that shit. Yes.
I kind of like knowing how it's like I can tell that I've become a fully mature man because it's like I don't just want the tire to be fixed so that the
yeah.
car goes. I want it to do it right, and I actually
Yeah.
get like a satisfaction in turning it, and you know what I mean, like understanding why the pressure.
Bro, I work with my hands. That's my job, is figuring
Exactly.
shit out like that. Yeah.
So that's the low culture version of the
Yeah.
technics, which is science is the high culture version. So Jews are not curious about that, about the physical world. They don't like to tinker. They don't build. They don't camp, famously.
Yeah.
And this is because they have spent too long without having to hunt, which, Jacob.
They're mostly farmer genes, as evidenced by our section on genetics.
Right. But remember the story, Jacob and Esau.
Right. Yeah. Esau was the hunter, right?
Esau is the hunter. Esau is us. At least that's how he sees it. And Jacob gets the inheritance of Israel because
He steals it. He steals it.
right.
From
With his
Esau.
cleverness, with tricks. That is the whole story. What I was just saying about what do Indo-Europeans, they hunt, they do war. They do, kill people sometimes. These things, this is the world, right? I mean, predators kill prey animals.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, it's like, it is what it is, right? The world, there is a certain
That's
amount.
that's a gray area of study, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's just true. It's just like the same way gravity is true. Like it would be nice if you could fly, but you can't. I guess gravity would still be true if you could fly. It'd be nice if you could defy gravity like Superman, but you can't. It would be nice, but the thing is, it wouldn't be nice because we are what we are because of generations of people had to live through like really hard conditions, and fight in wars and do all these things. And we have developed these traits and we need to lean into them as a people and understand that there's no like post-racial whatever, like whatever this technology does there. He's right about that when we didn't get to this, but he criticizes science as just knowing more facts doesn't change your relationship with reality.
True.
It's half true. It doesn't change group conflict.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
But it does change your learning new things about science do often result in new technologies that make your life easier and or open up new worlds to us, such as you were mentioning space travel earlier. Imagine all the resources that we could get from if we were able to travel other planets and stuff like that.
Right, but it'll still be groups. It'll still be competition.
Yes.
And if we ever do meet alien life, intelligent, the same. I mean, okay, this is wacky, like speculative territory, but assuming anything that we know about biology is true, the same laws of like, if there's a resource that we both want,
it'll be utilized.
We will compete over it based on this group, they share no genetic,
yes, overlap. Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't matter whether we know faster than light speed travel. That doesn't make a difference to that.
Yeah.
It's that ultimate truth. But that's the only truth they know. It's like, I forget who said it, but the Jews in 3,000 years, they haven't forgotten anything and they haven't learned anything.
That sounds like a Norm joke, but
no, it's like a
though.
famous quote. It's like from Eternal Strangers, that Thomas Dalton, where he talks about.
Oh yeah.
It's like it wasn't Voltaire, but it was somebody like that, like an actual like good philosopher.
You're not a Voltaire enjoyer. I'm not either, by the way.
No, I am. No, I am a Voltaire enjoyer. I mean, I actually haven't read like exhaustive Voltaire, but I mean, he was right about the Jews. So that is,
I think that pretty much sums it up. I think we did a fairly extensive analysis of the book, but so yeah, let's wrap that up there. Is there anything you want to promote before we go? Perhaps some of your writings? I don't know. I'm asking.
No, I mean, people can check out like my derelict YouTube channel, the Romanized Visigoth, where I have like 3 or 4 things on it. You know what you should check out though? The movie Vengeance, which is
Who's in that?
BJ Novak. You know, it's that 2022 where he does a podcast about some girl that he like hooked up
I don't
with.
know anything about this. Yeah.
Check that out. And there's a scene in the parking lot where he talks about how these stupid Texans that he's staying with to make this podcast are not serious, and the people that he knows back in New
Sounds
York
familiar.
yeah, give that a as like
Not a gander.
yeah, like obviously for people that want more, you can read the book, right?
Yes,
and you and
it's
then you're gonna
very available.
and you can put you can just find it on YouTube. I listen to an audio version from YouTube. You can put that link if you want in the Substack.
I'm gonna, yeah.
And that lecture
I'm gonna put that in there.
in there. So there's follow-up things that people want to follow up. And just, just use this with Vengeance 2022, BJ Novak. I really like the movie. Like I just enjoy it on a pure entertainment level. And see if you can use the tools that we have.
That's what this show is all about, is learning new things with which you can then look at other media with the lens.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, I would love if like in a month or two, somebody just brings it up in the Telegram group and starts to explain the, the esoteric,
esoteric analysis of what that through the you Gentiles lens.
Yeah. And if they explain the parking lot scene and some of the other scenes you can use language directly from this podcast or from the book. That's what I want to promote. I want to promote that kind of
beautiful
discourse.
So for us, www.historyhomos.com is the RSS feed. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. But most importantly, we mentioned it before, the Substack page, historyhomospod.substack.com. Not only do you get the best way to consume the video version of the show, you can also subscribe for an extra episode every single week. So that's 100% more show that you'd be getting for a low monthly price. And again, it's the best way to support the show. And if you like what you heard, to get more of it, that's the place to do it. We are currently in the top some 100 or something rising list. So we're doing pretty good, but we're still below Curtis Yarvin and Martyr Maid, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. So all Zionists must be below us in the rankings on a long enough time scale. So please join us. Over there, the historyhomospod.substack.com. Thank you again for listening. You can follow us across social media at historyhomospod on Twitter and Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you'd like to buy one of the t-shirts we have available. There's somebody I got to get back to. I think we do have one more large t-shirt to send them, but we'll get to that. I'll get to that off air, obviously. But if you want to buy a t-shirt, email me your size and address to historyhomos@gmail.com, as well as any other comments, questions, or concerns. And at time of recording, if you would like to come and argue with Romanized Visigoth in the group chat, t.me/historyhomos is the channel. t.me/historyhomos is the chat. History Homos chat is the chat. I believe it's in our episode descriptions too, so don't stress about it too much. But please join us over there. Lots of funny shit going on throughout the day. So please, thank you for listening again. Die with dignity. Is there a quote you'd like to go out on?
Yeah, I will quote Samuel. Philosophies do not remold natures.
Later, Shlomos.